everybody. Welcome to Roundtable Live for September 30th, 2016. I'm BaerTaffy, joined by Northern Lion Rock, Smile, our special guests, returning for the umpteenth time, AlpacaPatrol. How you doing, buddy?
Hey! How's it going?
Nice to see you again. It's been a while. It's been a while for me, personally.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in, 2 or 3 weeks now, so there's that.
Yeah, we totally didn't record or anything.
Right. No, that's the illusion we have to keep up. And Austin may or may not have been a part of that recording as well. Welcome back, Last Grey Wolf, to the program.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be back.
So we're all just fresh off of some brand new news. This might be the newest the news is ever going to get on this show. We're coming off the TwitchCon 2016 keynote that literally just happened 30 or 45 minutes ago. And we got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about as a result of that, along with all of these new and interesting stories on the docket today as well. Valve has some planned changes to make to the Steam storefront. We're going to be talking about that. The Advertising Standards Authority, I keep thinking it's the agency, but no, it's the authority, so it's even worse, has launched an investigation into No Man's Sky and Hello Games regarding their potential misrepresentation of their game on Steam. Amazon Games have announced 3 new games that they're working on, 3 completely different games over there in that studio. Palmer Luckey, I just got to read this. Okay, there's a lot of different headlines, but just the idea of it is so great. Palmer Luckey, the Facebook near-billionaire secretly funding Trump's meme machine. That's one of many. It's just, it only gets better.
What a year.
That's going to be a fun one. Along with some VR devs pulling their support from Oculus as a result of the aforementioned headline. Ubisoft avoiding a hostile takeover from Vivendi. Weird story there. And Battleborn, kind of in the midst of a rumor mill right now. Kotaku running an article claiming that they're going to be going free-to-play soon. Randy Pitchford, Gearbox head, vehemently denying such claims. So we'll try to figure out what the fuck's going on with that. Along with a discussion on Osiris New Dawn and Planet Coaster's Alpha. Courtesy of Rock Smile, mostly. But TwitchCon 2016, literally happening at this moment. People are walking the show floor, learning all that there is to know about the new sensations surrounding Twitch. A few of them were just announced to us during the keynote that just happened, including probably the biggest announcement of the lot. Well, no, I guess it depends on what you're looking at long term, but Twitch Prime has just come from TwitchCon 2016. Lots of benefits associated with Twitch Prime, namely the ability to get 1 free subscription per month to a channel of your choosing, as well as potentially free games. There is 1 free game at the moment if you're a Twitch Prime member, which you are if you have Amazon Prime. You can get Streamline, which is a game that they've been integrating into Twitch quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. Other benefits include the ability to get game loot, which is kind of an open-ended term right now. The big one is the ability to unlock a new hero in Hearthstone, which is actually pretty cool. And it's yet to be seen what else we'll see as a result of that, but Twitch Prime, that's exciting news. It's added value, right? It's hard to be unhappy about that.
Added value.
Trying to look at the negatives here, and as someone who's owned Amazon Prime already for a year and a half, 2 years now, it's pretty much just free money for me. I mean, it's going to pay for my Twitch Turbo now. I don't have Twitch Turbo anymore. It's free stuff, a free subscription. It's free things if you're an Amazon Prime subscription owner. So it's good news all around for that.
I'm pretty happy because the thing is, for a while, I mean, Amazon's owned Twitch for what, a year now?
Yeah, a little bit, 18 months, I think.
Yeah, so it's been. I was always curious why they have never had any kind of integration, outside of they had the thing where you could have the referral program, but I'm glad that they're getting more interlocked here and doing stuff like that where you have you get Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime at the same time. This was really nice. This
coupled with the story we'll have later, Amazon Games actually beginning to put out some trailers and marketing materials for their new games. It's coming to fruition, we speculated about this a lot in 2014, 2015 about what they would do together, and these are the sort of things that we hoped would come to pass, and here they are. It's great.
I mean, if you think about it, the subscription to a channel for free every month almost pays for 1 year's Prime subscription as is, right?
Almost, yeah.
That's I don't know what it is in the US.
Value.
Yes, half, right? It's $10 a month.
No, it's 2/3 actually. It's $99 in the U.S. So
wow,
I think it's only $80 in Canada, so it's pretty much like that pays for it right there because we pay $5 American for each subscription. So pretty much, if you're in Canada and you don't get Twitch Prime and you don't use your free subscription on me, you're stupid. So I'm just kidding.
Instant 200 boost to the sub count right
there. now I go to the dashboard and just refresh constantly.
Nick, feeling good about it?
Yeah, I don't see a lot of downsides. I'm loving this idea of a free sub every month as well. It makes up for Twitch not having to give me a third comp that I can use in my network of people that want to be subscribed to my Twitch channel. Also, well, okay, the one downside is the Twitch launcher. I don't think I like that very much because they're sort of leveraging a free game as here's another launcher that we're going to inevitably market shit to you with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't be upset about a free game, but also if you could have just given me a Steam code, that would have been lovely.
There's a couple of things that I had, like the cynical monkey on my back was going crazy about. A was that, which was Streamline was sort of just like shoehorned in there. It felt like it's been promoted pretty heavily on Twitch recently, so I figured it was just some sort of behind-the-scenes marketing deal going on there. But again, it's hard to be very skeptical and negative about the fact that they're giving it away for free with Twitch Prime membership. But there's also, this is a lot less significant too, I also thought it might have been a little way of Blizzard/Hearthstone devs sort of giving an olive branch to Hearthstone players that are not really in love with priests right now. So it's like, hey, we know the priest meta is complete garbage at the minute, but here's a new hero to play with class if you're so inclined.
It's just a skin, though, right? Like,
it's just a skin. It doesn't
that would be crazy if it was a completely new hero.
So, like, if you play Priest exclusively, you're still fucked. But you can, like,
but at least you look cool doing it. Yeah.
You can look cool with your 30% win rate.
Mm-hmm. Speaking to that point of that it kind of pays for itself with the free sub. This is something that Amazon's business strategy has been for, its entire life cycle, which is that they're in the red at all times. They are not profitable, but they attract investors because they're such a massive company that they're like, well, eventually it will just be the largest company on Earth. We're gonna be the East India Trading Company, and then we're good. We've got it
sick
set.
reference, bro.
so it's really good that that is being translated a little over to Twitch here, where you just get these free benefits.
Yeah,
it's real nice.
Absolutely. Of course, Twitch Prime was not the only announcement to come out of the TwitchCon 2016 keynote. We also learned that Twitch is now, today actually, integrated a new uploading feature, which is a little late to the party, but it remains to be seen, I think, just how much significance is going to be put behind this. I think it comes from Twitch to say that they want their creators to begin uploading pre-recorded content to the website. I'm not really sure that's what they're going for at the moment. I feel like it's more of a, hey, we know that you've wanted this, so here it is, just as an aside, right?
Yeah, as someone who doesn't, I think I'm the only one here who doesn't have a firm ground on YouTube, so this might be something really good for me as someone who uses pretty much exclusively Twitch for solo stuff. Mm-hmm. But even I'm unsure exactly if I want to use this system, because I wonder, is me uploading to YouTube still more valuable than me using this new video upload system? And I also haven't even seen, is it live yet, or is that's still something they're going to launch later?
They say it's available at the moment. I don't know, to the extent that we're able to use it.
Yeah, I'll have to get a look at it too. Because also the whole videos tab on your channel, the new channel page that they launched, seems to have all your highlights and past broadcasts lumped together. Mm-hmm. So unless there's a separate section for uploaded videos, I don't know if that's gonna be a good or a bad thing. If that's all just they can't tell what's a video and what's a stream broadcast or a VOD.
So
you said that yesterday. I had two separate tabs for highlights. Still,
maybe I missaw it.
So what it is it's a drop down now. Instead of tabs, it defaults to all videos, but you can just click the little drop down and it says past broadcasts, uploads. Oh, actually, there's an upload section now, so you can actually look at uploads now.
So
that's really
does that mean
I still don't know if I like that though, because it sounds weird, but that's like 2 clicks away from your main channel. It's
it does make a
hidden
difference,
away.
though.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to have a separate front page, right? Like, you think they're going to do that? Like, they might redesign the UI if they're really trying to push that they're competing on the video market, then they would realistically want to have a separate front page, right? So that people could have natural discovery with videos along with streams. Because, like, for right now, you can find past broadcasts if you go to your following and scroll all the way down to the bottom. So it's like hidden away. Right. So that's not very good with
And how are notifications going to work? Like, are they going to get emailed when I upload a video? Is there going to be some kind of sub box that they're going to have now? Like, how's that going to work as well?
I think a more important question is, what's this going to mean for archiving VODs? If they're willing to take uploads, does that mean they're now willing to hold our footage indefinitely like YouTube?
Right.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Wild, though.
Does anyone know if in the video manager you were always able to download the VODs?
No,
I don't
that's
remember
new
that
as well.
Yeah,
that is new?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so maybe that's what their intention
auto-hosting.
is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they want. They want you to download it and then upload it so that it's in your uploads section, which seems...
Wow, that's a really counterintuitive way to do that if the data is already on their server.
I don't know if that's their first plan for it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's, Twitch.
Let's just waste a shitload of bandwidth for no reason.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, they are actually opening up transcoding options to a lot more streamers as well. They made an announcement earlier in the keynote saying that they would allow up to 3 times as many newer streamers, I don't know exactly what that means, the ability to give transcoding options to their viewers, which is when you click the gear wheel and you can select either the 1080p by 60 FPS or something lower quality. Viewers, of course, benefit from that, as well as streamers who aren't necessarily able to stream to the degree or the quality level that a lot of people are asking for on Twitch. But yeah, good news there as well. And they also just spat a bunch of numbers out, something like 10 billion chat messages used in 2016.
98% of them are Kappa.
Yeah, they had a little list of like the most commonly used emotes as well, and of course Kappa ran fucking far and away with it as number 1. But
yeah,
they're up there saying like, why are there so many lines that say Madrina's boys and I feel like Pablo? Like, we don't understand where these are coming from.
Kiesling.
One day the clout will be high enough to the point where we're able to interject our own memes into TwitchCon keynotes, and that'll be the day we know we made it, man.
That will definitely be right. And I would love to recap the amount of possible badges you can have again now that we've added the crown.
Oh, that's a good idea. Are you including the Warcraft ones?
Well, they're not running anymore, so I guess not.
So that's like a 0.5.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So you've got your own badge, meaning the broadcaster badge. That's the camera, right? You've got your subscriber badge. You've got your tips badge if you get a certain amount of bits input. Now you've got your prime and turbo badge. So that's 6 right there.
That's 4 total?
No, I said 2 just now.
Oh, all right.
There's no Madrina's badge yet, but maybe we can hook that up eventually. What am I missing? There's more.
Well, now you've got the loyalty badges as well. That was another part of the announcements from TwitchCon Keynote.
Moderator badges.
Based on the length of a subscription, you can now give people different badges. So, like, new subs can have, like, hey, why don't you go back in time and subscribe in 2014 badge? And then old subscribers can have, like, a don't forget you're here forever badge.
I didn't know when was that announced. Is that at the keynote too?
That was at the keynote as well, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that.
That is really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, because I'm trying to figure out, so it seems like the uploads have a 10 gigabyte limit, actually, now that I'm looking at it here, which I think is different from YouTube. YouTube doesn't have a limit, or at least not that small.
Really.
Yeah,
YouTube hates you if you try to upload anything over 2 gigs, so...
Right.
It's like, it won't process 90% of the time if you get too large.
Yeah, and then I wonder how comments are going to work. How's that going to happen?
Well, they have that system to comment on your profile now, and they condense the profile and the channel page into one.
Right.
So, I mean, they streamlined the UI, they added the auto-host feature, they added this bunch of new features. Like, they've done a whole bunch of things all just recently. So I'm pretty psyched about that.
I do want to make a point, since this was applicable to me. If you just got Prime and you were a Turbo subscriber as well, they mentioned this on the FAQ, but you probably want to go cancel your Turbo subscription now, unless you just really like supporting Twitch, because you pretty much have all the benefits from Turbo if you have Prime now. So no reason to pay for both anymore.
They're not going to take it away from you.
It won't auto cancel for you. You do have to go do it yourself.
It'll just stay on there, and they're no longer taking new Turbo subscriptions either. So while they're not saying that they're killing Turbo, they're effectively killing Turbo.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much.
Well, I think one of the big issues right now is that Twitch Prime's only available in like 8 countries or something. As someone in chat said, it's not even available in Mexico yet.
U.S., U.K., Canada, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. Apparently.
Yeah. So. I guess Turbo still applies to people in not those countries.
Yeah, but they're not taking new.
Oh yeah, they can't get it.
Right?
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
No. It's only in the regions where Twitch Prime is available that they're not taking. The
okay.
So I guess
they thought about that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yep. All right. Well, there we go. It's the TwitchCon 2016 keynote. Lots of good news coming out of Twitch. I'm actually pretty excited for the direction they're going here. I'm okay with the redesign layout. I don't know. Like, do you feel okay just like aesthetically with it?
It's pretty nice. It's certainly not the worst one I've seen. Basically, YouTube. Also, I just clicked on my badges option in my partner settings, and it said, "Oops, something went wrong."
Too many badges.
Yeah, there are too many.
Yeah.
Why can't I hold all these badges?
I want GTA badges.
All right. Valve has announced some planned changes to the Steam storefront. Lots of exciting stuff here, too. Just aesthetic updates. Going to be occupying the first quarter of the show today. Hope you're ready for that. The big notes from the Steam storefront update include homepage visual refresh to use bigger game images in some places. Remove some visual clutter. They're also going to be changing the targeted visibility for new releases. I'm just going to read this verbatim because I kind of like the way that they address the issue here. We'll be making some changes to the initial launch visibility of new titles to better reach appropriate customers. While we previously granted 1 million impressions of each new title on the homepage, this approach was not scaling well and was an inefficient method for reaching the right potential customers. Click-through rates for most titles featured in this section were low, and it had become clear that not every new release is relevant to every user. That's fucking right. We think we can do better. With the upcoming changes, newly released titles will appear in a few different ways on the New on Steam page and in the New on Steam queue. The goal is to reach a more engaged group of customers and drive more relevant traffic directly to your store page. This change should result in your title appearing to a smaller but better targeted group of potential customers based on their preferences and tastes. That's good. That's exciting news. I like that they are aware of that.
It's exciting news for developers.
Yeah.
I don't know if it... I mean, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I never, or extremely rarely, just look at something on the Steam front page and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Like, maybe we have different sources for knowing about stuff that's coming out, I guess.
Yeah.
We can peel back the onion layers a bit here. I used to do that almost exclusively when I was looking for new stuff to play back in the day. I was just go to the Steam storefront, look at what's popular on the store page, look at what the new releases are. But right now, there's just like we're in such a fucking boom of not just development but like indie development and like solo team development that now the new releases page every single day is just completely overpopulated with. I don't want to like bash on anybody, but there is a lot of lower quality content showing up on the front page of Steam. And it's become a bit of an issue. So it's like clearly it's becoming a big of an issue as Steam has now sought to change it.
It's good they're making an effort because I still don't know if this whole new system will do much. Because the thing that I would do when I peruse the store page would just go look at top sellers. Even when it wasn't as bad as it was now, I really still wouldn't check popular new releases because even back then there wasn't a lot to see there. If a game was good though, it would most of the time appear in the top sellers, so that's where I would go to look. But I'm willing to look around now that they're trying to target you more with games that you might like.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I looked through all of them. No problem.
Yeah.
You guys don't do that? Like I just kind of like page through whatever's coming
Just
soon or hot releases.
Looking at it right now, like
specials.
I can say, like my process would be click on the store page. I go down here, look at the popular new releases, which I've never really paid that much attention to.
That's the primetime tab, man.
Yeah, and
that's the tab you should be checking like every other day or something like that.
You would think, but like the thing is, I tend to find a lot more success just looking at like the top sellers and just sort of observing by release date, because I don't know what the algorithm for the popular new releases tab is, but like often it's just a lot of stuff that I'm not at all. Like the Steam controller carrying case.
I was gonna say that.
That should scare you though, because that is the popular new releases is the like 20 new releases every day filtered down into the stuff that like more than 4 people actually bought. Yeah. So like this is the cream of the crop of what's coming out on Steam for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
At least if you're interested in buying like a new game a week, that's the tab.
I think the biggest usual issue is just that we're a little biased because we know we're in the gaming news a lot. We're looking for stuff, but even people who don't, a lot of the time you hear about new games through Twitter, through media sources. You don't a lot of times see new games on the store page. Most people, I would imagine, don't look there often.
I peruse it from time to time, but yeah, for the most part, it's funny actually. When I do that, when I peruse the store, I pretty much completely ignore popular new releases and look at top sellers or upcoming or specials. Because part of the thing is like the popular new releases also list, like, you know, you're saying the Steam controller carrying case and like DLC for games that I don't own, and it's like
games that aren't even out yet. Like Quantum Break is up there right now; it's not even available yet.
Yeah, so, but and I will say, Valve has a good track record of
I lied.
UI
That came out
redesigns.
yesterday. Sorry.
but yeah, Valve has a good track record of UI redesigns. I mean, like I know from speaking from personal experience, the Dota Reborn client back in the day when they made that like a year ago, that was very, very good. Comparatively, so I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with it. It is kind of cluttered right now.
I don't know whether or not I want to even say that the word cluttered, because I wonder how much of it is just things that I personally would never interact with and that I'm just choosing to ignore, or how much of it is really just like universally people tend to just ignore this section, you know?
Yeah.
I don't see the Steam controller carrying case on my popular new releases tab.
Did you already buy it?
That sucks for you. I've already bought 3.
If it's owned, it won't show up.
I don't even have a Steam controller.
I have not bought it, but I don't know. Maybe it's customized based on recommendations or something, or like playing history, because I don't have it.
That's the thing, is like I know that it's sort of personally built to cater to your interests already, but I don't know what that's based on. I don't draw a connection between even like what Steam tells me I like. You know, like they've got the personal queue for you to explore. You've got your curators that you follow. So there's clearly a lot of your tastes are being integrated into the storefront already, but that never really seems to be in line with me at all.
I bet it's weighted with the tags to some degree. I bet it looks at like the highest aggregate number of tags of a similar type, and then it starts guessing things that are in the same sort of groupings, which is why it tends to get them like in the general genres, but rarely are they games you're actually into, because usually you just own those games already.
Right.
Actually, Steam recommends that I play Death Stare since I recently played
200 million outcomes!
I like how we went from like, oh, these new changes are pretty good, to this sucks.
We're identifying current issues that need to be addressed, right? We're just
but
being
I mean,
productive.
it's not related to the UI though. That's just you know, there's a lot of shitty games on Steam now. There's more shitty games on Steam than there's ever been. There's probably more good games than there's ever been as well. But there, you know, there's a lot of semi-junkish stuff to sort through.
You want to know what it recommended me? I've got a few here. I'm actually curious what all of yours are too. So multiplayer games, I've got Rec Room, which is free to play. It looks like like Nintendo Mii's, like throwing frisbees around.
All right.
But then on the other side of that, Factorio, a game that I actually might want. So that's interesting.
It's VR, right? Like,
yes, it is, and it's probably for Vive, and I can't use that.
thought it had Oculus support.
Is it? Oh, I just saw that it had hands and stuff, and hands always means.
Yeah, no, it might be Vive only.
But then under that, I've got indie games section, which, right there, that seems like probably a good section for me.
Mm-hmm.
The Tasmanian Tiger.
I want to point out, just so people don't take it the wrong way, Rec Room does have 99% positive reviews. Just so it doesn't seem like we're throwing Rec Room under the bus here.
Oh, no, I was saying it was dissonant for me, like it didn't make sense of something I want. And it is only for Vive also, and I don't have any Vive games. But there are crossovers in the Oculus games I have, so that's probably why. So I have the Tasmanian Tiger, which I guess I could theoretically play. Iron Snout, multiplayer, free-to-play action fighting game with a pig with a cleaver.
What section are you looking at right now?
I'm in the recommended games section.
Okay.
You gotta scroll down.
Yeah,
keep scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
I want
Volume 2. All right.
I want to say
that.
I wonder if our Steam accounts are good or potentially
Flooded.
worse for this. Yeah, because like we probably don't have a huge track record for purchase history, considering a good deal.
I bought a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean I have too. I bought a lot on there, but also like half my library at least is not paid for. So
I got this great recommendation from my friend Isaac Baby for Battle Right. Says good game.
Fucking MOBA.
I have 3 recommendations based on the fact that I recently played Shell Shock Live, so the system clearly it's not perfect. Yeah.
There's also changes being made to the curator system. This is something I didn't realize was happening. Let me read this one verbatim, too. We've noticed that more than a few Steam curators are using the curator feature to provide valuable information about games while not necessarily recommending the title. We're going to give Steam curators the tools to indicate whether their post is recommended, not recommended, or simply informational. This helps us better understand whether a curation should be used to promote a game on the front page of Steam, or if it's intended to be informational, that it should primarily appear on the individual product page. I didn't know people were doing that. Did you?
No.
No? So yeah, I guess that's a thing. People are
Why would they?
Yeah, I thought, like, from the onset, I thought the whole point was to curate the good from the bad, right? But now I guess it's just sort of a, hey, here's what this is from your favorite curator. It's strange.
I guess maybe there's big curation pages on Steam, and they probably get to be big curation pages on Steam because they curate everything that comes out.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And they can't just recommend everything, right?
Well, and some curation pages are not review-based. It's not like this is a good game. It's like this is a curation page that has only games that have online multiplayer. This is curating games that have local multiplayer. This is curating games that run at a certain FPS. So those are the informational ones, for sure.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, think of a museum. I mean, all art museums aren't, these are the best pictures. There are all kinds of different exhibits based on different preferences, so it's just like that.
I had, this is completely tangential, but over in Iceland, I had my first experience of like going to a museum and seeing art and wondering to myself if there's something wrong with me or if the exhibit that I was viewing was just nothing. Because it was like, it was
Bear,
just,
don't worry.
It was a sheet of white paper with a pink smudge in a frame.
Oh, you're just a modernist stuff.
I don't know what it means.
You just don't get it,
how I'm
Bear.
supposed to interpret it.
It's
a
fine.
metaphor for, like, yeah.
The real answer is those things all thrive on context, and it's fine if you don't get them. Most of them are shit.
Okay.
And we should look at art together, and we'll have a discussion, because I love that discussion.
I think you would probably help me out in that situation. Yeah, I mean, I didn't go around to everybody going, what about this art, huh? Shit out something better.
Yeah. When you come to Ireland, we'll chat about art. It'll
there
be
we
fun.
go, yeah.
I thought you said you just went to a dick museum, Bear.
I did do that too. No, I didn't have any trouble interpreting what the dicks meant. Those were just dicks in glass jars.
What's confusing? Like, this one's curved, but this one's not. What's that about?
This one's... Peak quality right there. Yeah. It's not getting any better. Because that's more or less the changes. There's a few other things as well, mostly quality of life improvements as a result of behind-the-scenes info that they've gathered. So, yeah, Steam changes being worked out in the next few weeks. The Advertising Standards Authority, the lead authority on advertising standards, launches an investigation into No Man's Sky. Wondering whether or not the videos, screenshots, and other marketing materials associated with the game were intentionally misleading and or misrepresentative of the products. So the ASA is confirming to various outlets that they are indeed conducting an investigation. They have the power to have advertisements they believe are in breach of its code of conduct withdrawn and prevent them from appearing again. And if an advertiser refuses to comply with the ruling, it can impose sanctions, such as asking internet search websites to remove a marketer's paid-for search ads. So, there's a couple of sides to this story. A, the ultimate results of this are not really going to be incredibly significant one way or the other. It will be telling whether or not the ASA finds in favor of or against, I don't know what really like the court rulings are for it in this circumstance, but it will be telling to see what the ASA has to say in regards to this, but there won't really be any damage done when the extent of it is like the possibility that their advertisements will be removed from Steam. They're not making any more sales these days, I don't think so.
Aren't the developers like removed from everywhere right now? Like, didn't they just disappear?
Sean Murray sort of disappeared. Yeah, they posted a few days ago. They made some sort of update about just general improvements. I think they hired a PR team that they've been rolling out over the past month or so. So I'm sure they've been actively working on the game from sunrise to sunset, but they've been kind of radio silent since the launch. Thoughts on this, though? The Advertising Standards Authority.
I think it's interesting to think that there might be some legal precedent set that maybe somewhere someone got in trouble for bullshots or, weirdly misleading speculation or talking in too grandiose terms. Like, I know it's really vague and it probably won't be anything literal, but if there is ever something to point to and go, oh, you can't show us that E3 shit anymore because of this, that would be kind of interesting to see if it course correct slightly.
Yeah, definitely. It should be noted that this investigation is specifically revolving around their Steam store page, so it's not bringing anything else into account here. It is only looking at the Steam store page and seeing whether or not that is intentionally misleading and misrepresentative of the product.
If I remember correctly, this is a UK company, right? The ASA?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know if that changes anything either, or... Well, I don't think the U.S. cares. It has
no, U.S. has no standards.
About.
UK cares a bit.
Well, the thing is, though, like, if the UK sets a precedent that, like, I actually don't know how UK law works. I mean, U.S. law is very heavily based in precedent.
How U.S. law works, really.
Yeah. But it's based firmly in precedent. But if No Man's Sky gets fucked on this, then it could lead to what Nick is saying, and then people could just be like, well, let's just go look at the UK store page to see what the actual game looks like, not not the US one,
weird.
right? So yeah, so I think it could potentially force game developers to think about this kind of thing more.
Oh, I think like the situation in general, even before this like possible regulation, which, as Bear said, if they're found guilty, it's extremely minor. They take down like the misleading screenshots on the Steam store page. But I think if you're a developer and you've been following the No Man's Sky saga, you're saying to yourself like, well, when we market our shit, we're gonna be a little bit more realistic about it and not. We're gonna have a little interview rehearsal before we go on the Colbert show and say like, yes, there will be multiplayer. But I mean, I think that this is a really good thing. And you might be surprised, because I do find myself sometimes being a little bit like, hey, idiots, stop pre-ordering games. Like, it's the year 2016. We've been saying it for 30 years, just stop pre-ordering. But clearly that's not going to happen. So if we can get some actual adults to enter the situation and say, like, hey, you can't do that. You can't just lie to people.
Actual adults.
Then I think that's a positive thing.
Actually impossible.
I mean, like, if it is misleading advertisement, it should be removed. That's my philosophy on it.
I don't know what popped into my head. It's like it's a trading card of you or something, but it's just got you with a big smile and a quote underneath it that says, "Hey, idiots, stop doing that shit." Sorry, you go, Rob.
I kind of forget what I was gonna say.
No, it's a really great image, isn't it? I like thinking about
yeah,
it.
no, so that's all I'm thinking about now. Is that? No, actually, yeah. I know that it's somewhat unrealistic because of the nature of what video games are, but I think we have a little bit of wiggle room in the games industry to have a little bit more regulation on what products can be put out, because like. If you made an equivalence between games and film, if they came out with something like, I don't know, what was a really buggy game, like Dead by Daylight, came out with Dead by Daylight, right? Except it was a movie, then the movie would just like be missing the third act. They'd just be like, oh yeah, sucks. There's no third act. The reel just stops there. It doesn't really make any sense in any other industry, right? So I realize that glitches are inevitable. It's impossible to stop all of them, right? But there should maybe we have a little wiggle room on regulation, maybe. I think on what you can and can't put out, because a lot of companies, they just run out of money and then they just put out a product. And
didn't that happen to Metal Gear Solid 5?
Did it?
It just kind of like ended, is what I've heard. I haven't finished it, so I don't know firsthand, but that's what I've heard from people.
Yeah, but I mean. Yeah,
I think I see your point there. I don't know. I don't want to get into like another 45-minute argument about the differences between transformative and non-transformative media, but it's it's like a definite issue that is being brought to a head with all of this No Man's Sky debacle that we've been talking about. Rob said we should rename the podcast to the No Man's Sky Cast, which I think is probably grounded in reality. But
it's full of real world problems.
No, please.
Yeah, it's actually impossible.
It's difficult to really say like where. I think the reason this is important is because it might actually be drawing a line in the sand between intellectual dishonesty and unfortunate misrepresentation, right? Yeah. Between whether or not people are actually trying and actively willing to deceive you to buy something that they know is not the actual product they're selling you, or whether they're just, don't attribute to malice what you can easily attribute to stupidity, right? It's just people that are not really fully aware of the consequences of their actions and being so, otherworldly and grandiose about their explanations of their products, and then having to, fucking come home to roost and find that there's people that are pissed off about it. So I don't know if that's going to be the result of this, but it is giving me a little optimism that maybe people are, like you said, Ryan, looking at this and beginning to realize it's probably high time that we took this PR shit seriously.
Yeah, and you can't, in a lot of situations, the line is, I think, very tenuous, where you're like, let me put it this way. I don't know if it's fair, and maybe other people will feel differently, if an E3 demo from like a year ago is in the game, but the graphics in the actual game are worse. Like, that becomes a situation where I'm like, who knows if that's actually considered deliberately misleading to the point that it warrants some kind of punishment. But I do think that in this case, at least from what I've seen of the E3 demos and from the actual release gameplay, there is a case to be made, and especially given the interviews that took place, I think there's a case to be made that there were lies that were involved in the marketing of the game. And even if they didn't go out and intend to lie, that probably sold copies of the game under false pretenses. And I think that this is probably a pretty cut and dry case, at least conceptually, of false advertising. So I hope that it gives other developers pause. For the most part, I tend to not share the belief that indie developers in particular are trying to pull one over on consumers, but it is hard to argue in this situation that didn't take place. And as always, the way that they continue to handle the situation post-release is really, really bad as well. And I understand nobody wants to get burned by this inferno, but you created the inferno, and now you're like, well, I don't want any part of that. I guess there's no obligation for them to interact with it, but I mean, I wish they would, to try to just come out and be like, I don't know, what do you do if you're them? You can't just be like, we're sorry, because then no one's ever going to buy your game again.
I think they're doing exactly what they can do, which is say nothing at all.
Yeah.
I think the time has passed for solutions here.
Did you guys hear the statement from the higher up at Sony that was like they're just an indie developer. Their big problem was they didn't really have good PR representation.
Yeah, that was
Sony
said that, right?
Yeah, Sony was their PR representation and also shut them down from saying certain things at actual interviews. So like that's just straight up throwing them under the bus to distance themselves, which is like really rude.
I think it might have just become clear to Sony very quickly upon release that this was not going to be a long-term relationship based on the reception, right?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, that's actually, I like that hypothetical, really. I mean, we already see the reality, but is there a better way to handle the backlash than what they're doing right now?
I think like there have been situations, I'm just trying to think of games that have come out and been sort of maligned and then they made up for it in the end. And it's not the best example, but I'm thinking of Destiny right now, where it was going to be like the biggest game ever, and then it came out and people were like, it's kind of boring. And then they're like, well, partly because we can't afford to not sell 1 billion copies of this game. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to remove, like, the Dinklebot. We got this huge, like, post-release DLC plan that's actually going to, like, continue to make the game better, not just be a cash grab.
Bring back the Dinklebot.
Yeah, exactly.
For $4.99.
But like from what I've heard, at least, Destiny has done really well by its player base in the way that they've handled DLC. It hasn't just been like quick cash grabs. Not all of them have been amazing, but some of them have been transformative. So I feel like Destiny is a game where it came out, they sort of apologized and admitted like, hey, our bad, and then they came back and they did something that was good for the goodwill of the players. Whereas with No Man's Sky, it almost feels like the divide from what people actually expected and what was delivered is so great that it can't be bridged at all. Yeah. Like it can't be bridged with DLC. It can't be bridged with like a free patch. So I guess if you're Hello Games, you're looking at this like, oh my god, what do we do with this now? Yeah. Like we're fucked basically. And they are, but you know.
Yeah,
and they are.
Yeah, it's pretty cogent, honestly. Like the issues are a bit insurmountable in that they really cannot deliver the promised product anymore, and if they do, it might be too late anyway. Because now, not only are they late to their own party, but now there's everyone else trying to climb up this ladder and say, "Hey, you know, we're doing something too that you guys might want to check out." So
I can't wait until if they announce. It'll probably be like years from now, but if Hello Games announces like another game, I will reach. I'm already getting there, but I will reach like peak cynicism if people are excited for what they make next. And that's not even a shot on them, because like I don't really have anything against them as someone who was not duped into buying No Man's Sky, thankfully. But like if people are like, I mean, I know that they're responsible for maybe like one of the biggest disappointments in video gaming history, and possibly they deliberately lied to us to sell copies, but at the same time, this game looks like it's going to solve all the problems that happened.
Like, I hope their next game is Joe Danger 4.
Joe Danger 3, that's what I was going to say.
That would be great.
Just go back to your roots, that's all you can do.
We tried this whole thing. It's like in the game simulator when we're doing it on Steam, and we're just like, here's a 10-part series, this FPS. That didn't work out, so we're just gonna go back to like this shitty board game that we made beforehand.
Yeah.
The problem,
Game Dev Tycoon.
The problem that I have, and it's, I mean, what do you do when something like this happens? Like, what do you do when a game's promised and it promises an A+ and it delivers like a C? You know, I don't think you can just remove it off of Steam for several reasons, one of which is that a lot of people actually like it. The other one is like you're actually just killing them, right? Like, I mean, maybe that's not Steam's responsibility.
They're dead now.
But like, you know, they spend like hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars making this game, and then they're like, oh, well, I guess those 3 years were completely wasted. I don't know what you want, I guess.
You're not referring to like the punishment where the ASA defined them infringing.
No, because I know that's just going to be like use screenshots that are actually captured in something. But I'm interested to know like what people actually want, and that's not me being like, you know, they shouldn't be asking for some kind of punishment. I just don't know what's the correct course of action when something like this happens.
Right.
Is it weird that I feel really bad for Sean Murray?
No, I think that's actually like, I think that's human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, probably the novelty of being super rich is going to wear off eventually.
Yeah.
He'd rather just, like, he was going to be super rich either way. You might as well just be, like, super rich but have a great game as well. Instead, he's, like, a charlatan is the way that he's perceived right now. So, I mean, I feel bad for him.
I still don't even picture him as the bad guy. Like, I don't see him as the fucking cartoon villain with bags of money running off on his train to nowhere, right? He's just...
He was just the face of it, right? He was the one saying all of these things, so...
Yeah.
He's the lead
I feel
of the company.
He was optimistic. He kind of got set up into a corner. And then he just, like, he had to take the fall for everything he said because there wasn't another option.
Yeah. He was just kind of digging a hole, and then he just eventually was just like, well, let's keep digging.
He's like,
and fuck it.
He's just a dreamer.
He's just digging a hole, and then millions of people started shouting at him, keep digging! He said, okay,
Yeah, he started shoveling the dirt over top it.
Getting really deep!
Sure. It seems like we won't see much of Sean Murray anymore.
Yeah.
Is my prediction.
Yeah. At least for a couple of years,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
I think you can come back. Like, the thing with Peter Molyneux is, like, Peter Molyneux being, like, I don't mean to insult him, but being, like, kind of an easy punchline in the industry, that didn't happen overnight. Like, Fable came out, and people were like, it's pretty good, but it didn't deliver on all the things that it was promised. And you're kind of like, oh, Peter Molyneux, that's him, right? And then he repeated it, like, 4 times. And then... Curiosity and Goddess were horrible, and like even the like creative stuff about it was really bad, and that's when it became like a really bad thing. I think if he came back in like 2 or 3 years, apologized and was like, here's what we're gonna make next, and we're gonna like do right by people, I think his reputation could recover if that game was good.
With enough time, he could totally make some sort of like self-aware, self-deprecating comedy trailer for their next game. I would buy that hook, line, and sinker.
That would pull people in.
Yeah.
If he came out with it like next week, it would be fire and brimstone. It would be like, I almost would want to see it happen, but it would be like apocalyptic.
That's some Schadenfreude right there.
Oh, man.
Would you guys welcome Phil Fish back if he came back and announced Fez 2
no
is
one
now
cares
back in
about
production?
Phil Fish anymore, do they? They've
I
all
do.
forgotten about him by now.
I still don't have anything against
Me either.
And I think we'll get into this probably during the Palmer Luckey headline.
yeah.
But in the end, like, he's a game developer, and even though I disagree with a lot of his opinions, I really liked Fez. And the stuff that he makes, if it's on that same level, he can be as ignorant as he wants to be, as far as I'm concerned. And that's only from my perspective as well. Like, in the end, it doesn't really matter to me, because I do dislike that game developers are treated as celebrities to the extent where people are like, oh, he's got shitty opinions, so I'm not going to play his games. But
yeah.
I totally agree with you, actually. Like, I think it's important. I mean, I watch a lot of films, and there's a lot of really shitty people in the film industry, and it's important to separate the person from their work in that respect, because some shitty people can make some really amazing stuff. This really sounds like I'm calling Phil Fish a really shitty person. I don't think he's necessarily...
He's done some really shitty things. But...
he's said some shitty stuff before. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it's important to separate that. But I also understand how that's not easy for everyone. I don't think that's something that comes naturally. That's like a conscious decision to say, like, I don't care about the dude. I care about his work when I'm looking at the work. You know?
It's ignorant to not give somebody a little bit of credit and say, we don't know what you're going through in your personal life. We don't know where you're at, like, with your stability in your support system, like, how you're doing in general. Like, to judge somebody over some little snippet of something they said on the internet, where everything's a game of telephone, let's be honest, it just seems unfair. And even if he has been put across in a really negative manner many times, I still don't know him. Yeah. Right? So until I know him, I think that's the only time I can start to think like that.
Let's take this conversation into its natural resting point here, why don't we? Let me just read the headline again. It's so fun. Palmer Luckey, the Facebook near-billionaire, secretly funding Trump's meme machine. Funding a Trump group that circulates dirty memes about Hillary. Circulates dirty memes.
Dirty memes.
Dirty memes. You don't want to get into those dirty memes, man.
We got a lot of dirty memes around here.
So, on the subject of this, the response to these stories lately has been like, wow, like 2016 is crazy. And that's true. This headline is maybe the funniest headline I've ever read. But I have this like cold sweat moment where I'm like, what if 2016's not crazy? What if this is just the start of like
oh no.
What if this isn't a weird aberration surrounded by normal years, and this is instead like we're on the chain lift of the roller coaster that's going up to like 2016.
Then you just got to take the ride, man. Doesn't matter if you don't like roller coasters. You get on it.
It's gonna be a fall.
Can't get off.
I was trying to find some more of just like my favorite headlines about this story. I'm not finding the really good ones, but Palmer Luckey is a racist because he uses the right bracket symbol. I'm not sure what that one's all about.
My God, really?
$700 million Oculus Rift founder funding Trump meme campaign. Yeah, that's right to the point. Well, okay, if you haven't heard what this story actually is about, let's give you the nitty-gritty here. The Daily Beast ran a story, I think it was about a week ago, detailing Palmer Luckey's involvement with a group called, let me get this right, Nimble America, self-described social welfare nonprofit is in support of Republican nominee Donald Trump. They are spreading their message by shitposting, and that's not just a derogatory term meant to diminish the value of this organization. That's what they call it. They call it shitposting. Shitposting is powerful, and meme magic is real, according to the company's introductory statement.
It's shitballing. It's shitposting and spitballing at the same time. I got that one for mine.
Palmer Luckey, his involvement with this spurns from a Reddit post where he operated under the pseudonym Nimble Richman, or at least it's assumed that he operated under that name. He made a post. Can I just read it? Or is that might be too long? I won't read the whole thing. You can read the whole thing if you want to search it for yourself. It's still up on Reddit, I believe. But basically goes into detail about being a big player in the tech world, having a lot of money to burn, and looking for a way to do it, more or less. And he put his support behind Nimble America to the tune of $1 million, or at least that's what reports are suggesting is the amount that he contributed to the group. And it's very, very 2016. I think it might be the most 2016 thing that's happened thus far. The repercussions of this were nearly immediate. One of the more prolific, that's the word I'm looking for, prolific names to come out against this were Polytron, the developers of Super Hypercube, originally coming to the Oculus Rift, now no more, as a result directly of Palmer Luckey's involvement with Nimble America. Several other developers have voiced their disdain for the move. None as significant as Polytron yet have issued a public statement withdrawing their support from the Oculus. But several members of the Oculus team have resigned as a result of this as well. No one has been publicly named yet, but quite a few coming from the woodwork. So I don't fucking know where to even begin.
I want to believe really hard that this is somehow something the bunch of you came up with to make me feel even worse for buying my Oculus.
Oh boy!
You figured it out.
You really backed the wrong horse in that.
I was really trying to keep a straight face through the whole thing. You could tell this was all just a scheme.
Meme magic is real.
Oh man!
This is just the year. That's a great way to put it. This is the year memes became real. That's 2016.
Pepe the Frog is now a hate crime. That's an actual thing.
You literally can't make any of this up. It's insanity.
You ever watch like a movie, like a dystopian film, and it's from the 1980s and it takes place in like 2020 and everything's on fire? And you're watching it in 2015 and you're like, well, they were wrong. But all we gotta do is ride out the next 5 years and then that movie looks stupid. But now I'm in 2016 and I've been like, we've taken like, if there's 100 steps, we've taken like 15 this year. So I'm not saying we're on pace to have everything be on fire in 2020, but we might be starting down that road based on the ridiculous headlines we've seen so far this year.
As historians look back, they'll begin to notice a pattern in folks like us wondering, hey, I wonder if we're going to blow up the whole world pretty soon. That'd be weird.
Oh my God! Wait a second. I just had the greatest idea based on what you were saying.
Oh sure.
Can you imagine? Because it actually now is entirely possible. You think Pepe the Frog is going to be in history books for kids 20 years from now?
100%. Yeah, he is.
But there will be TILs on on Neo Reddit. There will be like TIL 2016. A meme was labeled a hate symbol.
Right.
You think there's going to be history books in the future, Rob? Jeez, we're all just going to take knowledge pills.
History.
If blank wins, they're going to have to rewrite the history books. Something.
Will the TIL not be, but it'll be the opposite way around. It'll be like, did you know that the Pepe symbol used to be a symbol of fun and joking? Pepe?
Buddhists used to use it to signify world unity.
This is my Pepe Meme. Do you like it?
So,
all right. Well,
Nick's done with this.
I don't know where to start
He's got
with
a
it,
case
man.
of meme magic.
Right bracket. Sorry.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this story. Like, it comes to your door and you think, oh, we can talk about this, but it's just like there's snakes in there and there's a bunch of really mad people over in the corner like, hey, you better not say that thing you're going to say because, ooh, you better not.
You know how it's a living dream that we get to make money by playing video games on the internet?
Yeah.
This is like the opposite but equal version of that going in the other direction.
This is the Bizarro World version.
Yeah, this
That's
is like,
our real
I
life
can't
now.
believe something that shitty could happen also in a way that makes no sense.
Enough people think something is serious, and suddenly it's serious.
Yeah.
That's just generally what happens there.
Well, Palmer Luckey gave $1 million to an online
I
shit
thought it was
posting group.
10,000.
Was it? Okay, I'm hearing conflicting reports. It might be 10,000. Palmer Luckey.
People say that, hearing conflicting reports.
Well, there's another part of. Okay, so let's play fair journalistic integrity move here and make it known that Palmer Luckey did issue a statement on his Facebook page clarifying his involvement with this group and describing his actual political affiliations. So let me actually find it real quick because I don't have it up. Palmer Luckey Facebook.
His
memes.
affiliation with, what is it, a Facebook page? Like, is it, like, it just makes Pepe memes as a Tumblr? Like,
here we go. It says,
Pepe memes.
this is from Palmer Freeman Luckey's public Facebook page.
Oh, Jesus
Followed by
Christ.
17,000 people. It says, I am deeply sorry that my actions are negatively impacting the perception of Oculus and its partners. The recent news stories about me do not accurately represent my views. Here's more background. I contributed $10,000 to Nimble America, so there's where that's coming from, because I thought the organization had fresh ideas on how to communicate with young voters through the use of several billboards. No, okay,
That boy for Bernie Sanders, 2016.
Deconstruct that sentence for a second. The fresh ideas were the use of several billboards.
Yeah.
With a stale meme.
Yes. I don't know if that's where the development plan stopped with Nimble America, but I guess that remains to be seen. I'm a libertarian who has publicly supported Ron Paul and Gary Johnson in the past, and I plan on voting for Gary in this election as well. I'm committed to the principles of fair play and equal treatment. I did not write the Nimble Richman post, nor did I delete the account. Reports that I am a founder or employee of Nimble America are false. I don't have any plans to donate beyond what I already have given to Nimble America. Still, my actions were my own and do not represent Oculus. I'm sorry for the impact my actions are having on the community.
Wouldn't it be great if he said rare ideas instead of fresh ideas?
Wait, is it wrong that I find this funny?
No,
or should I be
what can you
embarrassed?
do? You know, like, how do you read that and
hilarious.
just, yeah, it's fucking funny. It's,
I just don't know, like, where the line between serious and hilarious lies with this one. It's really skewed for me.
It's weaponized memes. It's like the nature of it is funny, like inherently. You can't not.
So.
It's like,
But now it's
AF.
not, because memes have been labeled as like actual hate speech, right?
Yeah.
It's a real thing now. So I guess in like 12 months, we'll all be publicly shamed for having laughed so hard when this was a headline. But
No.
I don't know where to.
Does this mean my collection of Pepes is not worth anything anymore?
I will say, if you watch the Black Mirror episode, the Waldo moment, it so strangely accurately predicts this story, and it is horrifying. It already predicted a British PM having sex with a pig, so I mean, what's the next one?
He didn't have sex with the pig.
He just wanted to, right?
He put his penis in the pig's mouth. Now, I'm... in some situations, I believe that would constitute a sexual act. In that situation, I don't think that it did. I think he was just having a laugh.
You think Palmer was just having a laugh?
No, I mean, it's a weird story for me to talk about because it is like inherently ridiculous in the headlines, but it's inherently ridiculous in the sort of way where you're like, but maybe it's gonna like change the course of political history forever. So it's kind of like it's really funny, but maybe in like a ha ha ha. Oh wait, what sort of way? Like
year. That's everything.
Yeah.
Laughing is a great way to cope.
It
right?
is.
Yeah, pretty much, honestly.
I
Well,
didn't face fuck the pig. Okay, that's something completely different. But I don't know. Like it's a crazy situation.
yeah.
I feel bad for the people at. I feel bad for the
Killed it with
people.
his dick?
I feel bad for the people at Oculus that have to deal with
Yeah.
the repercussions from this.
Yeah.
Because Palmer Luckey's he's like 24 years old. So the person who created the company that now pays for your kids to go to college, did one thing they probably regret now, and as a result, like you're catching flack for it. That sucks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can also understand like Polytron. They have a right to be like, we think that's pretty fucked up, so we're not going to put your game or our game on your platform. I can understand that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think everyone's, like, the thing about this, no one's really in the wrong objectively. It's a very bizarre decision that was made public that is going to make a lot of people unhappy.
You know who made it public? A Valve employee. Yeah.
Ah.
Is that true?
No.
Oh, the Daily
Maybe,
Beast
I don't
made
know.
it public. The Daily Beast published the original story that, of course, got latched onto by everybody. And then once Palmer actually issued that statement, the Daily Beast was very quick to respond to that by saying, no, we have these emails from you where you said, yes, I posted that as Nimble Rich Man. I did these things. So there's a lot of confusion with the conflicts between between Lucky's statement and the Daily Beast reporting. So there's a lot of just confusion about what he actually did too. But I think it's pretty clear that he was involved with this group to a significant extent, at least for the time that he posted it, and then subsequently had to remove his affiliation because he was discovered. But yeah, it's a goofy story that probably won't amount to much beyond what's already occurred, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Good old daily dose of memes. Oh, God. Next up, something completely different. Amazon Game Studios has announced 3 new games, which, of course, came alongside their announcements from TwitchCon as well, namely the Twitch Prime. Probably going to be integrated with these 3 upcoming titles at some point, I would imagine. First of which is New World, which is a new open-ended, massively multiplayer sandbox game. Could be some sort of... Well, it's just going to be another Rust, right? It's going to be Rust with Dinosaur World.
I don't know.
No?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I forgive me if I'm mistaken, but I think the only one that we have pretty concrete knowledge of what it is Breakout. The other ones seem like very deep in early development.
Yes. Yeah.
So they've just kind of given us a bunch of
Breakaway, by the way.
tags. Yeah, Breakaway. Sorry, I don't know what I said.
Breakout.
Oh, yeah, that's a game for your phone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So I mean, that's the only one that we actually have like gameplay footage of. I think the other ones have. I think one has like a cinematic trailer, and then outside of that, we don't know anything else.
For Crucible, you can tell a lot when they say it's a 6v6 third-person shooter with MOBA elements.
Yes.
I can pretty much piece that together for the most part.
New World, though, we do have basically the run-of-the-mill, behind-the-scenes cinematic trailer, about a minute long, but it's more or less the open-world survival games that we've come to know and expect, but with an Amazon level of polish, which as of yet remains to be seen what that'll mean. Then, yeah, as Nick mentioned, there's the, what was that called? That's Crucible, right? Yeah, Crucible is the 12-player class-based last man standing game. And there's actually some interesting factors to that as well. There's apparently, there's Twitch integration, which all of these are going to feature Twitch integration naturally with Amazon's purchase of Twitch. They're going to want to work that in there to as much of a degree as they can. But there is going to be a sort of host figure, I suppose, with the Crucible. So Crucible is sort of like a culling, but with more focus put on the alliances and the betrayals within said alliances, I assume. But the Twitch host character is a really interesting thing to me. It's somebody that can like directly impact what's going on in the game for the other 12 people. Like that idea sounds like it would be something that would work really well in the existing version of the culling, right? That'd be pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing with the Crucible too, is it's sort of they're kind of describing it as sort of culling-like. Like it's not straight up like team deathmatch. It's class-based multiplayer, but the world becomes dangerous, so people have to form temporary alliances and stuff. So yeah, there's stuff like that, and then there's also the Stream Plus currency, which is new now coming out to Twitch, which is sort of like, you know how every like streamer has their own form of a currency in their chat. Apparently, this Stream Plus is going to be like a Twitch-wide thing, and watching these games on Twitch is going to earn you this currency that you can use to get rewards in the game, like skins and whatnot. And you can bet on things. And
this is getting too complicated for me now.
Yeah.
All I see now is the amount of bots in chat just farming points.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Revlo, how many pixels, how many team pixels, how many Twitch pixels, how many bits. Like, God damn it.
Yeah, loyalty points.
Yeah, exactly.
Stream Plus. Ooh, yeah. Well, there's
it's
the...
a really bad name for the currency.
I'm kind of like over Twitch integration in games. Like... It for me went from the point where we played that Twitch game show like 3 years ago that Elise made. You remember? Was called Master of the Grid.
Yeah.
That was super cool. And I was like, Twitch integration is going to be the biggest thing that's ever happened to video games. And then we had some other stuff like Choice Chamber, and like now every tiny build game has Twitch integration, and like every fourth game that I get pitched is like. Plus, you can like link your Twitch account, and then chat can go in and fuck with you. And I'm like, I don't really like it. And then it's not. That doesn't mean that like everybody has to not like it. But I'm kind of like, for me, I just make the game like fun, I guess.
Twitch chat always votes for the same thing. It's like, you wouldn't think that'd be a significant problem, but it really is. Like if you have
Party
a voting
Hard. It's always like, well, you can have like one option that changes the game a little, one option that changes the game a little, and one option that completely turns it on its head. And you're like, it's death by absurdity, because every single time they take the most ridiculous choice, because of course they take the most ridiculous choice. I would take the most ridiculous choice, but I just find it like it's kind of like an artificial way to add in engagement, I guess.
Yeah.
It's still too much of a novelty, and it's generally too superficial. Like, the idea that Choice Chamber had, I think, was along the right lines, but it just didn't quite go far enough, for my opinion. Like, I would have liked to see that develop more, but most of it, like you said, comes down to here's three things, vote between them.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I do think that there could be more to it than that. It's just everybody just keeps going for that same thing.
I think one of the main issues with the whole Twitch integration and the progression of that as sort of like a almost new medium in the video game space, like sort of like, or like a transformative new medium sort of thing. Like the main limiting factor is that you have that delay on Twitch. So you're really limited in what kind of interaction the chat could actually have in an integration system. That said, with the Stream Plus stuff, as far as I can tell, outside of the host thing, like what they've said about Breakaway is that it's essentially you just bet. Like you don't actually affect the game, as far as I know. You just kind of bet, and it's it's like Salty Bet essentially, but Twitch is part of it now. So I think as far as Twitch integration goes, this is probably one of the lighter forms of it.
6v9 is a great example of fantastic Twitch integration, by the way, and a game that I think will move the entire genre forward.
I agree.
Not that I'm biased.
I have no bias either, and I'm almost 100% in agreement with that assertion.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm. I think we're yet to see really something that makes good use of Twitch interaction. I think Choice Chamber was something I was infatuated with before I played it, and then I played it for about an hour and realized that that was about all I was going to get out of it, which I don't want to just dump on Choice Chamber as, the God-given Twitch game that we all can relate to, but it's sort of indicative of the limitation that we have. And I think we need either a new development in Twitch interaction, or we need something that's going to use that method well. And I feel like, in theory, this game, Crucible, might be able to do that. I really like the concept of this host player character that has sort of like an audience backing behind him, because conceptually that makes sense, right? It's not just sort of a shoehorned feature. It's this guy exists, and he exists to this capacity, and the Twitch chat and the Twitch integration actually makes logical sense in that context. So I kind of like it here, but I agree in that there has been quite the influx of games that are just sort of working it in to work it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's moving from direct democracy to we're a republic now. We're a republic now on Twitch.
Mm-hmm. We're a shitposting republic. That's what we're all about.
We've got representation.
And then the third one they revealed, as we mentioned briefly, was Breakaway, a 4v4 arena braced
right bracket
brawler sport game of sorts. You basically got teams of 4 that compete via combat and also are trying to move a ball to an objective, I believe, is more or less the situation. So there's that. There's 3 games coming from Amazon Game Studios: Breakaway, Crucible, and New World.
Breakaway looks like a cross between tower defense games, Rocket League, and League of Legends.
Yeah.
Trying to combine that in my head.
That recipe. I want to put that in the oven and see what comes out.
Oh, okay. No, I see it here. Players can build catapults and other structures on their side of the map before the 2 teams meet in the middle to brawl, hurl magic at each other, and try to drive a ball-like relic to an enemy's base for points.
That's the Rocket League part. I see that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be the Rocket League part.
Because they had a ball in Rocket League. And that also, you see the connection? Okay.
I don't mean to be rude. Like, the game might turn out to be awesome. But this really does have the pitch of, like, what if we just combine, like, the 3 most popular games?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, they're not breaking any new ground here, apart from it being Amazon doing the developing, to be honest. I mean, New World, it's a Rust's Ark-like, that's the formula. It's just, it looks a little nicer at the moment. And then Crucible is the culling, but with Twitch integration, and then you've got Breakaway, like we just said. So they're not taking too many risks, it doesn't seem.
Not breaking away from the mold.
Yeah.
For a new company in the plane of video games, it makes sense that
they're working with their own engine too, right? Which is also, I guess, of merit.
Really?
I'll say that, and I'll say the Breakaway looks really pretty. That engine looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
That gameplay video there, I linked in Skype. Yeah,
I'm looking at it. The gameplay itself looks exactly like the kind of game that people are going to see 10 seconds of and just turn off.
Right.
It has that same aesthetic that we've seen time and time again.
And the battle right problem, where people are going to turn it on and be like, there's like 20 characters who all look really generic, and I'm not going to give it a chance. Which,
yeah.
Are you sure this is made in the Amazon engine?
That's what I was told. I might be mistaken here. Was it a Unity or let me see. Amazon Game Studios. I know we talked about their engine on the show, didn't we? I thought we
it's called Lightbox or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They released it for free, but I don't know. That would be cool if it was made in that. I would be more interested if it was made in that.
Yeah. I can't confirm or deny, but that is my belief at the moment.
You know, I will say, as an aside, games that are usually built like, we're going to be an esport, they
don't do well.
I've almost never seen them work.
Yeah.
I can't even think of one example.
Lumberyard. That's it. Sorry.
Well, like, what about, like, Smite or something like that? That was developed, I believe, with the intention of becoming esports integrated at some point, right?
Is Smite still super active? I guess they still have tournaments.
Yeah, they still do stuff.
Yeah,
it's got to be like a top 8 esport or something like that.
That's fair.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Rocket League is probably the closest you could get, I think.
I don't think that was developed as an esport, though.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either, yeah.
I think they came out with it and they were like, holy shit, we sold like 8 million copies.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's my perception, at least.
Then they, let's turn this back into the No Man's Sky Rocket League 2-hour broadcast, but they've done everything that they were supposed to do in terms of, like, long-term business plan. Like, they nailed it, I think. Like, they had their great initial launch. Then they got the RLCS up and running. That's become a lot bigger immediately. Like Season 2, they tripled the prize pool or something like that, so that's pretty great. And then they've now got the microtransactions that everyone loves. So they got like all three facets. Of course, they
did a good job with the boxes too, with the crates.
They actually made it interesting.
They're killing it. They honestly are.
Of course, have had the little microtransactions peppered in there too. So they're doing all the things they're supposed to.
Isn't Rocket League on the top? It's been on the top sellers for like 2 weeks again.
I think it's on sale again too. So it's probably still up there.
It's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
All we need is like a year from now, a free-to-play Rocket League like trial to come out, and then it will complete its ascendancy into like permanent 20,000 viewers on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
All right. That's Amazon Games' new launches. Ubisoft is in a very interesting situation right now, trying to avoid a hostile takeover from Vivendi. Name that, actually, if you're familiar with gaming news from the last 5 or so years, you may have been kind of tangentially aware of. Vivendi used to own a controlling stake in Blizzard and then actually sort of used that leverage to complete the Activision Blizzard merger back in the day. But Vivendi has since sold their controlling shares of Blizzard, now down to, I think, like 5% ownership in the company or something like that, and are shifting their attention toward Ubisoft. But Ubisoft doesn't like that. Ubisoft doesn't really want to cede control of the company over to Vivendi, so they're kind of actively fighting against it. Vivendi, in the most recent shareholders meeting, tried to make or stake their claim, but turns out Ubisoft was able to successfully vote them out of the proposal. Not that there was a proposal on the table, but I guess like the back end stuff worked out in such a way where they were able to retain control of the board of directors. Their CEO retained his position. That's Yves Guillemot, still the CEO of Ubisoft. And it seems like Yves is actually making an effort to try to pitch the current stockholders into not selling their stock to Vivendi, which has sort of been their play in trying to gain more control of the company via their public trading. Of course, you would think that with this being a possibility, this maybe would have happened more frequently in the industry. Well, it did happen with Blizzard, of course, back a few years ago, but companies like Valve, of course, are actually not publicly traded. They're still a privately owned company, which means they are never really going to be susceptible to circumstances like this. But Vivendi may actually change their sights to a different company, perhaps. We'll see what their plan is in the near future. But it is, man, this is just, it's weird to think that this can happen, right? This never really occurred to me before.
It is really funny, like, that you can just have, like, wars staked with money.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're taking us over. How?
Ubisoft is publicly
us.
against this, but it's like they still might not be able to control it.
We're gonna buy you. Don't buy us. We're buying you. Don't you do it. Don't do it. But I love that, like, I guess, I mean, I'm completely ignorant of how this works, but I love that they have to do it in, like piecemeal.
Yeah.
Like, I remember maybe, like, 3 months ago, there was a news story that was like, oh, shit, Vivendi bought, like, 6% of Ubisoft's total stock today.
Yeah.
And over at Ubisoft, you got to be going, like, what do we... Stop that. Like, we don't want you to do that. Business is
Get out of here.
Man.
It's weird, yeah. Like the whole concept of this is very strange. Is the idea of a hostile takeover where a different company can just hemorrhage your shares away from you with vast amounts of money until they own you, basically.
Yeah.
It's very much like feudalism, in fact.
Even when you see it coming, apparently, like, there's stuff you can do to slow it down, but you can't actually just be like, you know, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be purchased by you. You actually have to honor it, which is very, very.
The final step is you go to the Nintendo Power Championship, and you have to fight them in Super Mario 3, and whoever wins that gets their way.
God, I wish that were real. That would be great. Eve actually has a very interesting statement to follow up their their assertion that this is an unsolicited and unwelcome takeover from Vivendi. He follows that up with the following. Creativity, agility, and risk-taking is intrinsic to our industry. If you are independent, you know the level you can go to, but if you're part of a conglomerate that doesn't understand what your industry is, how fast it's moving, or the decisions you have to make at speed, they can limit your possibilities. Then automatically you don't create new experiences that are coming out of nowhere. Sometimes when you take risks, it doesn't work and you have to cancel a project because you thought the business was going in one direction, but it didn't. When the management allows that, you aren't blamed for not succeeding. Your management says, okay, we learned this and that, and we can use that on this new opportunity. When you're in an organization that's less risk-taking, you don't do that. And then when you don't take risks, you don't get rewards. Yes, companies merging is not normally a problem, but in our industry, when changing a lot of the time, it's actually risky. I really like hearing that from him, actually.
Is it like Civilization where like Vivendi gets like warmongering points for trying to do this?
I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's really easy to make the simple joke of like, oh no, if Vivendi buys us, they might make us pump out an annualized sequel that's exactly the same as the one that came out the year before.
Here's the thing, though. In congruence with this, we have news that has been going around this week that Ubisoft is not going for an annual release of either the Far Cry or the Assassin's Creed franchise. So they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is here, too.
That's why Vivendi's got to buy them.
Yeah.
Put a stop to that right now.
What are you doing? Where's our Assassin's Creed?
Do we know? Has Amazon been like losing value as well because of this? Because like you don't just go from like annual release of like one of the largest gaming franchises of all time.
Oh, do you mean Ubisoft?
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah,
that was confusing.
Yeah, sorry about that. That is very confusing. But yeah, no, like because like you don't just go from annual releases of that to just stopping just because fuck it. You know,
yeah,
right? Like,
well, I mean, they're not putting out a Far Cry or Assassin's Creed game, so they're not making the money from that. That's certainly true. But I mean, you got to hope that long term this is going to reflect a change in attitude that's going to create more polish for these releases in the future, right? Like I think there's a lot of optimism to be drawn from it, but you're right in that, yeah, they are probably losing a good deal of money from that.
Yeah. And they're probably, I mean, they must have had to make that decision because of like something like declining sales or declining quality, as is the case with like Unity and stuff. So maybe they're in just a weak position, and that's why Vivendi's taking this opportunity to attack.
Oh, hit them while they're down. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah,
they're getting a lot of warmonger points. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, I guess I don't really care. Now that I think about it, like,
that's sort of true, too.
What does it mean in the end? I mean, people are already pretty skeptical about Ubisoft, but like they've been coming out. They've had like a strong 5 years. I think there's been some bumps on the way. Like the last two Assassin's Creed games were not considered the height of the series, and people got really sick of them. And we're probably reaching that point for Far Cry, but Far Cry 3 and 4 were really good, I thought. And I mean, in the end, if Vivendi, forces them to pump out a couple extra shitty games a year to make money, doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, Ubisoft is kind of, it's not like they're a paragon of virtue in the industry, I guess. Yeah. Like, they're already out to make money, as well as also make good products, hopefully. But, in the end, I mean, I can't really feel good about, like, heralding doom as a result of this. This is the same company that put out Watch Dogs, by the way. Like, people are rooting for the company that put out Watch Dogs.
Yeah, that's like the pre-No Man's Sky, No Man's Sky.
Oh, God. Stop it. Don't even...
Let's not go back. Don't go back.
And everybody's
Watch
like...
Dogs 2. And
everybody's
Ubisoft
hype about Watch Dogs 2.
Welcome back to Bear Defends Watch Dogs, the weekly podcast where Bear gets on and tries to defend Watch Dogs.
Well, you and I, we've been in the same boat about this because I actually thought it was better than people gave it credit for as well. Yeah. But I also, you can find like at least NLSS's from 2014 where I'm like, if they announce a sequel and people are excited for it, I'm gonna lose like all faith in the gaming consumer base, and that's what's happening.
I wanna believe that this is sort of like Ubisoft seeing the light a bit on their own accord. You know, like they are the ones choosing, absent of Vivendi at the moment, to stall on these annual releases, to be a little bit more self-aware and sort of address the issues that people have had with them as a company. That seems to be coming to a head right now. And if Vivendi were to take control, I would have to assume that, especially based off of Eve's concerns, that would probably be the direction they go back onto, is the annual pumped-out releases and not really addressing too much of the polish concerns. So I think this is where I'm... Yeah, you go ahead.
No, sorry, go on. So continue your thoughts, sorry.
That was it.
Oh, well, I was going to say, keep in mind that, like, he is going to be obviously against it because he stands to lose a lot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so, like, that, you got to take whatever he's saying with a grain of salt. And then, at the end of the day, too, like, Vivendi is a game company, right? Like, it's not like they're being bought by, like, Chevy or something.
Vivendi is sort of like a... They have a lot of holdings. They're a pretty broad strokes company, I think.
Right, yeah.
But
still, though, like, it's not like, you know, it's not like Facebook is buying Oculus again. You know what I mean?
It kind of is.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know nearly enough about Vivendi to make an assertion there, but...
We need our friend Dennis in here.
Yeah.
Our economic friend.
There we go.
Dennis would know.
To help us out, understand the situation.
Yeah.
Attendees for Vivendi.
Well, I mean, like, hopefully this is like their Jerry Maguire moment, and then Ubisoft just releases like 8 Game of the Years in a row or something like that as a result of this. But it's probably not. Like, I mean, they're probably just gonna, no matter which way this goes, there's gonna be an Assassin's Creed 6 in 2017. There's gonna be a Far Cry 5. Like, the trains are still gonna show up.
I'm still gonna play Far Cry 5.
Did the Assassin's Creed movie come out yet, or is that still later?
I think it's next summer.
That's the Jake Gyllenhaal one, isn't it?
No, it's Prince of Persia. This is the Michael Fassbender one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, no, it's announce or show any footage of because it's too hot for us.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, 21st of December. So.
All right.
So it's running up against Rogue One. No, rip.
No, I mean, they can't put it up like the same weekend. That doesn't make sense. When does Rogue One out?
December 21st for the Assassin's Creed movie.
Rogue One comes out a week early, so
still kind of not great.
No, it's dead. I mean,
what do you think the overlap is in the demographics between people who want to see an Assassin's Creed movie and people who want to see a Star Wars? Just like 130%, right?
I was gonna say fucking every single one of them.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's Ubisoft avoiding a buyout from Vivendi. We'll see what takes place later on in the year. Battleborn is maybe going free to play soon. The more I thought about whether or not to even talk about this story, the more I realized this is basically Randy Pitchford is denying things, because I'm pretty sure we all see the writing on the wall about Battleborn. It's probably going to go free to play soon, I'd imagine. They're looking at about 300 or 400 concurrent players every day or so. They've hemorrhaged their entire player base from launch. I mean, what do you say after that point? You know, like what do you have left to do? What's the plan? How do you make Battleborn work?
Are you satisfied, Overwatch fans? Is this what you wanted?
You know, it's kind of weird that Blizzard is in this position again, where they made the genre-defining game, and now all the other people are trying to copy them again. I'm speaking to World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
And then you see that same exact pattern happen with MMOs post World of Warcraft, where it's like, hey, we're totally, $60 game, $15 a month subscription, and then a year later, we're going free to play. And it makes you wonder, like, why anybody ever bought it in the first place. Just wait a year, it's going to go free to play. That's what MMOs do. So it might be the beginning of a trend of this kind of thing, because there are a lot of, I hate to say that this may be breathing it into existence as a term, but Overwatch likes now. There's a good deal of them.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a trend that's going to start here, because most of them aren't free to play. Most of them are pay for games.
Pay for with microtransactions, because you can do that now.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know.
I wonder, like, regarding what Battleborn can do. We look at what they have done. They were on the Humble Bundle. We talked about that like a month or so ago. They were like minimum $12, I think, maybe $15 on the Humble Bundle for that month. That didn't do it. They've released like new. They had a new hero, I believe. That was Battleborn, right? They released a new hero at some point recently, and they just there's no way to compete realistically anymore. If you gotta keep the ship afloat, it's gotta go free to play. And people say that it's not as simple as flipping a switch. I recognize that. Like there are intrinsically difficult elements of making the transition from a paid game to a free to play game, including like the balancing of whatever microtransactions you inevitably put within the formula for it. But why even deny it at this point? Who are you appeasing? There's 500 people at the peak, and everyone can see that. It's not a mystery anymore. It's all basically public record.
Right, and they've taken all the options, right? Like,
yeah.
What's left? It's been out for 3 months or 4 months now, and it's already been in a Humble Bundle, been on sale for 50% off. Mm-hmm. Like, if it doesn't have there's no game in history that has ever come back from this, except maybe like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, where people were like, we don't really like the way the Hidden Path has made the game, and Valve was like, all right, we'll do it. And then they released crates and they rebalanced the game and made it better, and people bought it at $15. But like outside of that, like once per generation sort of scenario, it doesn't happen. So I don't really see how Battleborn, pulls out of it without going free to play. But I also the Battleborn news is super weird to me, because I'm like, if there's only 300 people caring about the game, why is it always in the news? Like, it's always, people are always like, oh, Battleborn's is at 19% off today. Ooh, what's going to happen with Battleborn? Like,
people like watching a train wreck, I think.
That must be it. Yeah. Like, it's news that's so irrelevant, like, for the most part. It becomes almost like a Titanfall situation where it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even now, if Battleborn goes free to play, I guess people will be like, well, I'll try Battleborn. But I sort of feel like it's already had its bed made in the media, and it's tough to come back from that.
Nick, I need you to take the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that narrative is frustrating because, again, Battleborn isn't a bad game. It's just people keep making this false equivalency that they're so much like each other that one is made the other obsolete. And it's only because of that narrative that this has sort of come out to be this way, I feel like. Obviously, it was bad timing. They are sort of similar, but they're different enough that I don't see why it's gotten to this extent that we got to keep bringing it up. Like, it's just people want to put the two against each other so Blizzard can win.
Yeah. No, that's 100% true. And, like, Battleborn was developed basically parallel to Overwatch as well. So anyone that's trying to make the jump to conclusions that there was a lot of content ripped off of Overwatch is definitely not on the right track either. Yeah, there's a lot of really weird claims being made about that game being, like assets were used or something like that. I don't know what people are pulling from, but no, Battleborn is just it's different, but it is there are a lot of similarities as well, which again, I think it was just by virtue of circumstance that they really ended up being pitted up against one another in the ring.
I will say though that there's room for personal preference here, but I played Battleborn at a bunch of preview events and I was like, it's okay. Like in multiplayer, especially, I thought it was like the head-to-head multiplayer. I thought it was okay. The single player, I was like, it's kind of, there's the boss. Everybody pop your ultimates, and then we win.
Yeah.
But in the head-to-head multiplayer, I was like, this is pretty cool. But I wasn't that excited about it. And the first time I played Overwatch, I was like, this is just like a lot better. I think and it's not. I'm not trying to insult Battleborn. I think Overwatch is a 10 out of 10 basically for me, and Battleborn might be like an 8. But that creates a problem when at least the Venn diagram of them overlaps enough that I'm like, well, I like Overwatch more, and all of my friends are playing Overwatch, and Overwatch was cheaper at launch, and I trust it to get updated forever because it's Blizzard. It's like it had a lot of things going in its favor.
Yeah. Yep. It's true.
Speaking to that point, I mean, like Warcraft 3 and Diablo 2 got updates like a month or two ago, so it really is going to be updated forever.
Yeah. At this point, I wish they would just, Randy Pitchford in the past obviously has had his fair share of unpopular opinions, especially regarding Gearbox's products, which makes a lot of sense. And I can't help but feel this is just an instance of him trying to skew the narrative when in reality I think we all just are sort of expecting it at some point. It's just sort of a given now that it's going to happen. So I am very curious to see what their plan is if it's not going free to play. I mean, he seemed to speculate about the idea of there being DLC in the very near future along with some sort of free trial period for the game.
Yeah, but that makes he's the head of Gearbox, so
yeah,
fuck me, I guess. But also, if nobody's playing the game, who cares about DLC?
Right.
Nobody's gonna. If you don't already own Battleborn, you're not gonna be like, oh, another $15 patch came out for that. Let's go pick that up. That's the jumping in point.
I maybe this is off base to say, but I feel like a lot of the biggest problems are perception issues with that game, and maybe some money spent to reposition it better, just to differentiate it more from Overwatch for people that can't seem to tell the difference, might be enough to make more people play it. Because the game, like I said, is reasonably well functional right now. It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. So if they could just make that point a little clearer to more people that it's not just Overwatch or dollar store knockoff version of Overwatch, maybe that would be all they needed.
I've asked this before, and I don't really know either. But I still don't really know. I mean, games that have to keep servers running, and are paying for bandwidth to keep their multiplayer running. When it's not free to play and not powered by microtransactions, what is their incentive to keep those servers running? You know what I mean? Which is why I'm wondering why he would even be against it, because surely having a larger player base would be beneficial to them more so than they can't possibly be getting that many new purchases every day, right? It's impossible for them to make up that ground to the player base that would balloon. At least even if it's just for a week, the player base would balloon if it goes free to play.
With how much attention that it gets without actually doing anything, you've got to definitely believe that would happen, right? If Battleborn actually went free to play.
The problem is, where do you draw the line from a timing standpoint of, our game was a failure if you make it free to play 3 months after it comes out, especially when 6 weeks ago they made Evolve free to play a year and a half after it came out. 2K starts to get a reputation as a company that, why would you ever buy their games at launch? Because if you just wait a year, they're all going to be free anyway. But I think it's because, it's like what Rob was saying earlier. In general, if your game success hinges on getting a large multiplayer base and having constant games available for people, it's really hard. Especially if there's a game that most people, Overwatch is it is a once per generation juggernaut for each genre. I'm not saying it's the best game that's going to come out in the next 5 years or the 5 years previous, but if you're making a hero shooter, Overwatch is the one that blew your chance up, basically.
Right.
So I just don't understand how you get out of that. I kind of think you just take it on the chin and say this game didn't do well. We're gonna make Borderlands 3.
Right. Yeah.
There could also be sort of a hinging obligation to their own employees that's like, well, we had this many month plan for post-launch support, and now they're gauging, like, do we put a bullet in this game and move on? Or, like, what do we do with these people's jobs? And how do we move on through that? And I think that behind-the-scenes part could be sort of the missing link to why this is such a struggle for them and what to do next. So,
yeah, definitely.
Keep that in mind, too.
I mean, it only came out like 4 months ago. It came out in February.
It was in
March, right? So like 6 months?
When was it? Fuck.
It hasn't been a year. We know that much.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's it came out May 3rd.
May 3rd. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so yeah.
That was like a week before Overwatch, right?
Yeah. It was.
Like
I think it was
month.
literally 1 week before.
Was it? Oh, was it really? God, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was
Has
like
going free to play ever really worked for any of these games? Either is the thing. Like,
Yeah.
Definitely worked for Evolve. Like Evolve is now
Did
the
it work
poster
for
child
Evolve?
for it.
Yeah, we're playing a lot of Evolve all of a sudden, huh?
Yeah.
No, but like if you look at
Is Evolve doing well, though?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do like games do well though anymore? Like,
What the fuck is that question?
well, my perception is like multiplayer online games. People like there's just too many to play one of them a lot. I think this might come across as moronic, but like the way that we see it is like, you know, Battleborn comes out, we play it for like a week, and we're like, this is really good. We play it for a week, and then we go back to the other stuff that we play. You know, Overwatch comes out, it's a little different. We played it for like a couple of months, and you guys still play it from time to time. Like, I don't know that like what constitutes success for an average game anymore. Like Dota does well, League does well, Hearthstone does well, Smite does well. Evolve has 1,700 concurrent players right now. Is that good? Is it horrible? I have no idea.
I mean, I think if it hits its projected, like if it hits its projected, not if it's both above the green and hits what they project, then I think it's successful, right? But the question is with those games that are multiplayer focused, it's like how sustainable is it? Because eventually the player base is going to drain, unless you're Rocket League. And then they're just going to keep getting new players. But I mean, like, so that's the thing. It's like, how sustainable is it, and then how long can you do it? But to Austin's point, I mean, there have been actually a good deal of MMOs that once they flipped free to play, they actually became much more successful than they were ever when they were on a pay model. And a lot of weird MMOs that you wouldn't expect to still be running are totally still running and have a pretty active player base. So, I mean, it can work. It can also horrendously fail, but you know.
And
I see it fail more than work. The only MMO I can think of is Guild Wars 2. The only one that went free to play.
Well, that had a different pay model than most MMOs anyway.
We're missing our resident MMO expert today.
There's like Old Republic, Star Wars Old Republic. It's still a pretty well played game on Steam, I think even. Is it on Steam? I don't know.
I think so.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, they're still. I mean, if they're still running their servers, they have to be making money, right? There's no. They wouldn't be in the red and keep that game running for like 5 years, would they?
Unless they have a strategy for why they're doing that.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, it's yet to be determined whether or not Battleborn actually plans on going free to play, and no doubt we'll talk about it again in a month or so for some reason. So there we go. Osiris New Dawn. Brand new early access survival exploration space adventure game from who developed this one? That was Phoenix Fire Entertainment. Have I played anything by them? They're kind of new on the scene, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Nick, you want to tell me about this?
No, Rob should, because I'll talk about Planet Coaster.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Rob, tell me about Osiris.
Yeah, so well, actually, me and Nick have a series on YouTube on it so far right now, and it's it's an early access survival game. Very pretty. It's a gorgeous game. It's set on a desolate wasteland of a world. It kind of plays, in my opinion, like a Subnautica in space a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how many features that they've promised are in the game right now, because we haven't really gotten that far. But you are supposed to be able to leave the planet, go to other planets, and mine resources. But it's essentially eat food, drink water, gather resources, build buildings, make a big base, and then also it has a online multiplayer component that we didn't really tool around with too much, but I'm assuming it works in a similar fashion to Rust, where you can have a server with not necessarily MMO levels of people, like hundreds of people, but you could have a server with maybe 100 people, and they'll raid your base and stuff like that, and steal your goods, and you could do the same and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun for what it is right now. It's still very early from what we've played. I mean, a lot of the sounds aren't in, the death animations aren't in, but as far as early access survival games go, it's fairly polished for what it is, and it's a pretty good time.
So this has sort of been, from what I'm reading, a lot of people are calling this the things No Man's Sky promised come to life. Is there a lot of validity to that? No.
Could we call it No Man's Skylines?
That's a good one. I don't know. That's pretty smart.
Actually, City Skylines coming out with a new DLC, I think, actually pretty soon. But yeah, no, it's kind of nothing like No Man's Sky, to be totally honest with you. Outside of the fact you're in a spacesuit on a planet, there's almost... I honestly think it's more similar to Subnautica than anything else.
So it's Subnautica in space before it's anything resembling No Man's Sky.
I think so. I mean,
right.
Nick, maybe you have a different...
Well, at first I wanted to say that we played it before it was actually even available on Steam, and there has been a patch since then, so they may have already added the death animations. I'm not sure. We're going to probably play it again soon. But Rod's right. It's pretty early on. The gameplay loop is basically this. The three of us spawn in a roughly near location. We all spread out looking for the same or multiple resources. We try and build things, but find out we don't have enough resources, and then have to walk further, eventually get killed by one of the Starship Trooper-like creepy-ass aliens out in the desert, which, by the way, is actually a pretty cool experience. Like, the enemies and the interactions, lighting engine, all that looks lovely. And even the gunplay feels fine. Like, it almost feels borderline Halo-esque. In my opinion, and Bear would probably hold me to that, I guess.
I'll find out.
Yeah, he'll find out. So yeah, we looked for resources. There was this scripted massive dune worm that jumped and killed us. That was pretty exciting, but it's like scripted, and we kind of saw it. And once you've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times, I guess. And the idea is supposed to be we get enough resources to build a base, to then build a rover, to then build a ship to fly on the surface, to then build a thing that lets you leave the planet, and eventually go to another planet to find more resources to I don't know what after that. And as far as I know, they do have the mechs in now, but I'm not sure what we're going to be fighting with them, because everything we fought we could kill in just a few hits. But we never left like a level 1 area. And again, I don't know where the early access parts of that limit what we played. It seems like it has a lot of potential, but it also seems like it's relying on a lot of survival game tropes too. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, hey, if you really wanted a survival game that's got a sci-fi feel to it, you could do worse than this one. Seems all right.
That's what I was going to ask is, like, does this game feel like it stands up to the other 5,200 survival games, early access, that are out there on Steam? Or
Rob played more than I have, but I didn't dislike it.
I mean, I'd say, yeah. I mean, I've played a good deal of survival games. It's a really weird genre, because I don't think there's been even one... I mean, there have been, but you get the sentiment. There hasn't been really one that feels like this is a finished game. They all feel like they're in development at all times. Right. So it's sort of impossible to judge these things. I mean, it has potential to be really, really cool, because that's what survival games have been selling on for years. Is like, this has potential to be so emergent and so cool. So, I don't know. I don't think there's any other sci-fi survival games, and if there are, none of them, I can remember. So I would say, yeah, if you want to play if you want to play a sci-fi survival game, this definitely top of the list, I'd say.
They got the atmosphere down. The sense of scale feels really good. It's massive. Like, I don't know how far the planet goes. It felt like we could walk forever.
Yeah.
And the rocks around us were huge too. The day-night cycle looked really nice. Like, pretty much everything seemed like it was mostly ready to go, except for, like, the massive amounts of structural element that's going to push us forward into gameplay mechanics. And again, a lot of that relies on us finding resources that were a bit rare, and maybe we just didn't stumble on them. We'll find out.
So, with the actual gameplay loop that you already mentioned, with that progression of systems, is it inherently fun to you? Like the gathering the resources, the actual process.
That part is literally the same as No Man's Sky. Like you just wander until you find a node, and then you mine the node.
I see. Yeah.
And then your inventory is full.
I will say it's a much more desolate landscape than the kind of things you'd find in No Man's Sky, and it's not randomly generated, right? So it's going to be like so it's going to be like a forest kind of thing, or I actually don't know how Rust works. I don't think it's randomly generated either. It's like it's on a map, and that's that map. And right. So I assume that the nodes are spawning in different places, but outside of that, it's going to be the same basic layout every time.
Got it.
So.
All right. We just keep chasing the high, man. Just want something to make us feel like we felt when we played Minecraft beta for the first time.
It's almost there.
Maybe this could be it, man. Maybe this is the early access survival game that's going to do it.
There's something kind of cool, though, about, like, 3 people building a mech together and flying around an alien landscape. I like that idea.
Yeah, me too.
So,
yeah, but how much is that as, like, just novelty, like, a one-time high?
I don't know. We haven't built the mech yet.
And what is, like, building a mech is a great back-of-the-box point, but what do you do? Are you screwing in the bolts, or are you clicking and dragging a mech down from, like, a prefab
we're probably
menu?
literally just picking a blueprint and have the resource, and it appears in front of us.
Yeah, you hold left-click to build things, and that's it, yeah.
Hold left-click to build mech. This
is actually a great thing to put up against Planet Coaster, by the way, because it's the complete opposite of all of those things.
Good.
I will say though, like I think important because of the weird place that early access survival things are, in that none of them are finished. You do have to kind of look at like very specific features that you wouldn't look at in regular games. Like, does shooting a gun work? And it does.
The bar is very low.
Yeah. And, like, the hit detection is there. There's, you can look at some, like, I played a good deal of the forest, and sometimes you'd hit a thing and then it would teleport 50 feet away. That happened a lot less in Osiris New Dawn than it happened.
It did happen.
Yes. But it happened a lot less in that one than in, like, the forest or
it's
any of the
also a
other
known
ones.
issue, and it's to do with the giant sandworm under the ground. Apparently that causes that teleporting.
Which is why I like the culling so much, because the culling is like a closed loop, right? Like all these survival games go on forever, whereas the culling, you play for 20 minutes, you play the game, and then you're done.
Right.
There's even though it's unfinished, there's still something there to finish yourself.
I'm just at the point where, like, an early access survival game on Steam, they can't pitch one that would make me excited anymore, because every game promises what every other game doesn't do, and then they don't do it. At least they don't do it on a time scale that is, I feel, reasonable. So I'm like, yeah, okay, you can make your own computer inside of the game, and then you can make a game on that computer that can even be better than this game that you're currently making the game. Like, I don't care. Just do it, and then sell it to me, and we're fine. I just worry that it's becoming, like, the business model now is, well, we got a lot of features in this game. It's going to take a long time to make. It's going to take a lot of money. There's no way for us to get that money without selling what we have now on early access. And then maybe it'll get done, maybe it won't get done, but, like, a lot of them are just, like, not getting done. Do you remember when DayZ's standalone came out?
Yeah.
We were like, hey, can we get, like, access to the game? And they're like, well, we don't want to give access until, like, we feel like the game's ready to show off. we don't think that'll happen.
That's great.
We don't think that'll happen until 2015. We're like, what, 2015? It's going to take you 2 years to get this thing to, like, a playable state? And now it's almost 2017, and it's still not there.
Yeah.
Like, they
just close?
I don't know. I mean, they won't tell us.
they kind of stopped development on that, didn't they? Or or at least the main team was just like, yeah, we're done.
Dean Hall left, and he's doing VR stuff now at a different studio. Right. But I'm just like, there's so much built up bad will, at least for me, with early access survival games that like this is not meant with offense, but like everything that you guys said, I'm like I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what it does do right. It has a great sense of atmosphere. It has a very pretty day-night cycle. It has decent gunplay. It has a good feeling of here's your friends together doing this outer space thing. And I haven't seen too many other survival games do that properly. And at that level, I feel like there's potential there for an enjoyable time, if even just off the back of graphical fidelity and potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's way further along than a lot of the other ones in terms of only that. The gameplay could happen, it might not, but what's there now is enough for us to have an okay time for a little bit.
So I'm going to pose a question. Am I really naive to be hopeful that Amazon's survival open world game is going to be the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think the one exists.
Yeah.
I don't think that that exists anymore.
Blizzard
I think
could do it.
It's a nebulous concept of like, you know, like I don't know what people want out of an open world survival game at this point. To just never have to buy another game ever?
Well, I thought we were talking about wanting one to be finished.
I think that's the good starting point. Can we just have one that actually works when you buy it? If that's the one that works when you buy it, I'm in, because like they've just been pitching off of the idea of a survival game for years, and no one's ever actually finished one. So I mean, with Amazon's budget, maybe they will release it and it works, and that could be pretty cool.
Are you ready for 2020 when all the survival games are done rapid fire one after another?
Because once one finishes, you know the other ones are just going to follow suit right away.
Yeah. All rendered irrelevant and obsolete, and the entire 10-year decade was nothing.
They'll all see that massive sales spike once one of them actually goes out of early access, and then they'll be like, oh, fuck, we can make $500 million if we just say it's 1.0. Here we go. We're out.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, like, Starbound came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Don't Starve came out.
I'd say those ones. I was gonna lump those into the ones that are finished, but then I'm just kind of like there's kind of a different like when you talk about early access survival games, like Don't Starve is just a good game, whereas like early access survival, I think like The Forest, 7 Days to Die, Must, Rains, like that stuff, which I think is separate from those games. But maybe I am literally wrong in thinking that anyway.
I also feel like a lot of people won't be happy. They'll be like, yeah, I mean, like Starbound's done and it's pretty good, but it's not photorealistic, so it's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the game that captures the fidelity of real life and everything that you can do in real life, you can do in the game, and then I will just exist in the game forever. And for $15, I'll never have to purchase another piece of media, and that's the end.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the end game of video games.
It's Osiris New Dawn. It's available right now in early access for $25 on Steam. Nick, want to talk about Planet Coaster?
Yeah, but first I want to say I'm not wearing a goddamn straitjacket. It's just a button-up shirt. Everybody get over it.
Nick, wrap your arms around your back again for me. Just real. There you go.
Is this what you want?
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. I played Planet Coaster's Alpha 3 last night for about 4 hours, and there's quite a bit of hype, actually, for Planet Coaster. For those that aren't aware, I believe it is a lot of the original group that did the Roller Coaster Tycoon series, and this is sort of a reimagining of that whole thing done in full 3D with a day-night cycle with every possible bell and whistle that you could imagine all adorned onto this package. So obviously, with a pedigree like that, with something like that to live up to, the standard is pretty high. And I'm personally not even someone who's necessarily been drastically into those types of games. The simulation, the time management, and the roller coaster stuff has not always been a thing for me. However, I watched some footage of this game in the past. I thought it looked really to have a lot of potential. The amount of customization, really, really good. I played it. All of the things I thought about it were great and there, and it's not even done, and it's better than I expected. So what I had was just a flat plot of land. And so the simulation part isn't there yet, but I had a sandbox experience with it last night. I built up this little chunk of land and cut a tunnel through it, made that into my entranceway, put a bunch of box lights facing in with actual dynamic shadows and everything. So when the patrons walk in, they're walking through this like aisle of lights. and then they're greeted by the front of the park, which I haven't fully built yet. From there, I built off to the side and made a little pirate cove, which I had one of those rocking ship rides, set up all of that stuff, started making mountains then. Built some mountains with some stairs going up with a spire, put a freaking skull with red light eyes. Literally all this stuff I mapped with my own tools, like with my own brush, cut away at the rock, shaped the edges the way I liked.
I'm trying to follow along live with you here with your VOD as you're describing what
you're
doing.
You're going to have to do a lot of skipping around because it was a lot of hours of setting up.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got to the part where I made my first coaster, and I made it literally all by hand. So every single piece of track, every direction that the track was facing, like the degrees that it was facing versus the ground was all customized. Where the track had roller pusher things to push the carts up, that was all customized. Where the brakes go, where the loops happen, where like all of that was set completely by me. And then I started messing around with what if it runs through the mountains? What if it curves underneath things, goes upside down? And then when it's all done, you open up the ride, you let the patrons in, and you can go for a freaking ride on your own roller coaster in first person. And it's like the dream thing that I've wanted since I was a little kid, and it actually just works right now. I was blown away by how good it is. It's so good.
That's great.
It's one of the rare opportunities where I get to say, like, I had some hype for this, and it exceeded my hype.
That's fantastic.
I was
ask questions, and I will shoot them down or agree with you. What do you think?
Yeah,
I was a huge fan of Roller Coaster Tycoon. I totally forgot which one I played.
Roller Toaster.
You know, you sequel to I Am Bread. No, the Roller Coaster Tycoon was a lot of fun, but you know, it was a really old game. I don't know when did that come out? It's a while ago, but
1995.
1995.
I don't know if that's
I'm looking at the footage of you playing this, and this looks pretty much like a present day Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'm looking like I want to play this just from what you said and what I'm seeing now.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that it's the sandbox version right now. So what do they have planned for like the simulation aspects of the game?
There's going to be a campaign mode that I'm not sure exactly what it's going to entail, but obviously you're going to have to use limited budget to try and create a park that's not only self-sustaining but creates profit. And all of the simulation elements are sort of in place now. Like you can click on the guests, see what their thoughts are about the park. You could see various expenditure levels for the things you open. You can have shops with food. You can have cleanliness. You've got to actually hire employees to clean up the park. And all of this is in the sandbox mode now, where there's not even an actual use for it other than just like make your park look as alive as possible. And I was amazed with the level of detail that it all has, with the amount of like individual lighting elements and all of that stuff. And yet it still somehow was 60 FPS, and it's a huge plot of land. And I have to wonder, when I fill this all up with rides, is this thing going to chug? Because it's actually amazing that it's still smooth now, and I'm only just the beginning. I've used like 1/10 of the plot.
It almost seems like this is sort of like a glorified version of like Unity or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It feels like you could make games in it.
Yeah. That's
like,
cool.
They give you a palette's worth of like little individual objects, and there's this thing called blueprints. And I guess what you can do is like stitch them together in various ways and then call it an object and then put it back in your toolbar. So if you wanted to make a pirate cove with a specific layout of like, here's the barrels, here's the pirates, here's the lights behind it, you could just grab all those things, link them together, put it in a blueprint, and then whenever you want, pull that out and drop it in your park. So you could always have the same grouping of objects and then edit them individually later.
Right.
So like that's so cool. And the level of customization I've never seen before like that. You can set up your own mood lighting. You can set up every single element, like where the park's thoroughfares are, like how is best to navigate the park, how is best to, like where the garbage goes and where does it get collected to. It's crazy detailed.
That's great.
I have a question.
What's up?
Is it going to have Steam Workshop support?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You can already, I believe, look at other people's parks and download things, and people were even encouraging me to do that last night, and I just haven't done it because I wanted to not spoil the grandeur of apparently what is the most beautiful park that someone was citing.
Ooh.
That is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I played this back in like May maybe, and I'm interested to know what's in Alpha 3 that was not in Alpha 1, because in mine you had like unlimited money, but then it was just like it was creative mode, basically. You were just dropping like prefabricated roller coasters, and then you could ride them, and you're like, oh, there I'm going up, I'm going down, and then that was it. Like, people just like walked into your park and then like rode some rides and walked out. There was no like money coming in. There were no upkeep costs. There was no like, this dude's throwing up. We need to hire a janitor, but the janitor wants to unionize, and now we need to, fire him legally against his will, et cetera, et cetera.
Nick, the G's on this coaster would kill anyone.
Oh, I know. There's actually a meter. As people are riding it, you can watch their fear meter and their nervousness and their sickness meter go up and down. And I was staying up in the like 9 region a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're dead. They're just dead.
They're probably dead. And the first patrons that rode, once I opened it up, I was like, well, chat, let's say goodbye to these 2 people because they're going to their death willingly. This is Carnival, and they're going to ride the ride. So yeah, apparently there's a lot of stuff they've added since then. If you couldn't customize the terrain, that's all in now. Building coasters, that's all in. Customizing pieces, that's all in. I don't know if the day-night cycle was going then, or if the lighting was as detailed, or... so I didn't play it before now. This is my first experience with it. But I was quite blown away, actually. I'm very excited to go back and make a whole park in it.
Hell yeah.
It's not even done yet. So.
You've got me excited for this. This is looking really nice. Planet Coaster will be available in approximately 6 weeks. The alpha is, I guess, limited to press at the moment, Nick?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can get it unless you're press.
Yeah, okay. So, a little bit of a preview there, I guess. But yeah, Planet Coaster is available for pre-purchase right now. Currently 10% off at $40 over on Steam. And that is going to bring us into everybody's favorite segment. It's Ask Roundtable. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Excitement. It's the weekly segment where you send your questions to roundtableyt@gmail.com. We're going to do our best to answer them. This week's question comes from one of our Patreon patrons, Scroddy. Scroddy asks, I wanted to know if you could give the quintessential game for each genre to help define it, such as like an RPG, an FPS, or something like that. And I like this question, but I also thought of a different way that we could approach it here and now with the 4/5 of us to do this. So here's what I'm thinking. I've got the list of what Wikipedia considers like the categorical defining video game genres. I'm going to read them just one at a time, and I want you guys to say the first game that comes to your mind when you hear me say that genre. You can say them all at once. We'll just sort of parse them out. How's that sound?
Okay.
Good?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Starting with action role-playing game.
Diablo 2.
Okay. Diablo. There you go. You got it. Art game.
Mario Paint?
Mario Paint, yes. Are there any more?
I wonder if that is like...
Mari Damasi, as weird as that
an art game, or if it's like a game that is art. I don't know if that's what that's supposed to be.
What is an art game?
Yeah. All right, well, let's skip that. Let's get that out of there. Let's see. City building game.
SimCity.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting game.
Street Fighter.
Okay, wow, yeah, common consensus.
Yeah, we're all
nice,
wrong,
yeah. You guys know your video games. That's weird. First-person shooter.
Half-Life.
Counters?
Doom.
Doom, yeah. Doom
All
is...
right, we got a variety there.
First thing that came to mind.
Mine was going to be Call of Duty, so I think we all had different answers for that one.
Yeah.
Neat. All right. Massively multiplayer online game.
Could be anything.
I wonder what it'll be.
Let's see. Metroidvania.
Super Metroid?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Let's go with platform game.
Super Mario.
Super Mario, okay.
Super Meat Boy, he says.
Puzzle video game.
Puzzle video game?
Yeah.
Tetris?
I was going to say Tetris. Yeah.
Like that kind of puzzle? There's 2 different kind of puzzle games.
Right.
Tetris
Right,
game.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like Puzzle Exploration Myst.
Yeah,
That's
Missed if we're going that way. But
apparently
yeah,
Minesweeper falls within this category, so I don't know what...
It's that category than Tetris for sure.
Yeah.
Tetris
It's arcade puzzle
game.
Puzzle,
Isn't it the best-selling game of all time still to this day?
Yeah.
Probably. How about this? Racing game.
Gran Turismo.
That was mine, too.
Daytona, USA, motherfucker.
That's right.
F-Zero.
F-Zero, okay.
Yeah.
Real-time strategy.
StarCraft.
Warcraft.
StarCraft or Warcraft, okay.
Games that end in craft.
Yeah.
Here's a very interesting one. Roguelike.
Well,
Isaac.
It would be Isaac. Yeah.
yeah.
You look at that as that's the quintessential genre-defining roguelike?
First thing that comes into my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, considering how many games bit off of Isaac, or maybe not bit off, but like was inspired by it, I'd say so.
As much as I think Gungeon is a better game, Isaac still was like the one that made that genre.
Somebody's going to say something in the comments about how can you say that either of those are the quintessential roguelike? Why not Rogue? Rogue is the game, obviously.
Oh,
Roguelike.
yeah, Rogue is the game. Yeah.
If it's it can't be like it.
Yeah.
The problem is that like if someone's like, hey, what's this game? And you go, it's a roguelike. Oh, what's it like? It's like Rogue. They're gonna be like, I'm 20. I've never heard of this. Like, what is this?
Procedurally generated Death Labyrinth, obviously.
Let's go with Shoot 'em Up.
What is this? Shoot 'em up.
Contra?
That's
Contra,
what
yeah.
I was thinking too. Actually,
I went Gradius. I didn't
Yeah.
know
Yeah, that's good, too.
direction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have an answer for that one.
Simulation game.
Ooh.
Sims.
Sims, I
Sims,
guess.
I think would be up there, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know. That's like such a broad genre, really.
Yeah, it kind of is. How about let's go with a weird one. Social simulation game. While we're on that route.
Sims.
I don't even know what that is.
I guess
Yeah,
it's
let's say Sims again, I guess.
That's the Sims, yeah. That's the
Sports game. Pretty straightforward
Madden.
there. Yeah.
yeah, probably Madden. Yeah.
yeah.
Strategy video game.
Oh, so not
Civilization.
RTS?
Is that Civ?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
That would be I think Civ would
Well-
probably fall in there, right?
I mean, it's a it would have its own 4X category.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, probably Civ, I guess.
Okay.
Sure.
We got a couple more here. Survival horror.
Resident
Resident
Evil.
Evil.
Yeah.
Resident
Yeah.
Maybe Silent Hill?
Maybe.
How about role-playing game?
That's a tough
Dragon
It's
one.
the
Warrior.
RPG.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny
There's-
because the answers we're giving are like first in your head, but we could obviously make long, drawn-out arguments about what is the actual quintessential like genre-defining game.
Which
and
is
I don't
kind
think
of
a
why I
lot of
tried
these
to
would have lined
change
up.
it so that
Right.
it would be a
Yeah.
little shorter. Because
We could have picked one genre and had this whole segment about that.
extrapolated it for 45 minutes, right? So
Also, like, RPG is so broad. It could be
Mhm,
CRPG, JRPG. You
see,
know,
I thought though that this would sort of identify like what we consider in our brains just to be like like the first thing we think of when we consider that genre, right? Which I suppose is an element of defining the genre itself. So hopefully that does a little bit to answer the question. Tactical RPG. Oh man, they even get a little bit further.
Final Fantasy
into it.
Tactics
Final
is just
Fantasy.
tactic in the name.
Yeah.
How about tower defense?
Balloons.
Balloons. Is that its own genre?
It's got its own section now.
I wanted to say Plants vs Zombies, but
That's
Balloons
I
beat it
think-
there.
I think it would be Plants vs Zombies.
Yeah.
For me.
Probably.
I think the ballooning mobile game scene probably had something to do with that getting its own classification now.
I've never played Balloons. I just watched Cobalt play.
All right, and then I think that's basically going to be it. There's visual
did we-
novel if you want to go with that.
Well, this
Science
brings up an interesting point. Like, did we just kind of forget about adventure games? Is that not a category
Oh, you know what? I
anymore?
skipped that. I think adventure game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, 'cause that would be Zelda for me.
Yeah.
The real story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you call Zelda an adventure game?
I would.
It's like an adventure RPG, right?
I wouldn't
Like,
call it
what
an
I
RPG.
You don't
It's
level
got
up.
such light RPG elements in it that it just
Yeah.
doesn't quite get there.
When I think adventure game, though, I think firstly like Day of the Tentacle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
point
like
and click
Monkey
genre.
games.
Monkey
Yeah.
Island. Yeah, that's what I think when I hear adventure game. You know.
Although you could call that point and click adventure, so that's another squabbling over
Right. Right.
genre names.
So
Cool.
genres are confusing, is what we
Yes,
reaffirm.
100%. Yeah, glad we were able to clarify that. The help that Scroddy was asking for definitely provided it in this segment, right? Goody. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a fun one. But thank you very much, Scroddy, for the question. We appreciate it. If you've got questions that you'd like for me to completely change the meaning of for this segment, feel free to go ahead and send those over to roundtableyt@gmail.com. It's time for everybody's favorite segment after our favorite segment, Nick's Weird Games. Nick's Weird Games, the weekly segment where we try to guess one of Nick's weird games from his catalog of so very many Nick Weird Games. We didn't get a song suggestion from that Ask Roundtable submission. Austin or Rob, do you guys have a request in mind? Anything in particular you'd like to hear for the Nick's Weird Games theme song?
Destiny's Child.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right.
No, it's still so easy. Excellent.
Big Papa chorus.
No, it's gonna be Destiny's Child.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just too easy.
Go
So
for
it'd
it.
be like, give me a second.
Sure. How you guys doing? Everybody okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty good. Yeah.
All right. That's nice. Austin, I like your
Okay.
hair.
And be like, Nick's Weird Games, Nick's Weird Games. It came out for PlayStation in one Asian nation. Reviews scores were tame. Nick's Weird Games, Nick's Weird Games. It's probably Japanese. Please give me an easy one, please, if you ain't running game. Something like that. That's like,
That was good.
That
That's
was
pretty good.
good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
When we give you like just the 15 to 20 seconds, it really does. It exemplifies the quality to a great degree. I like it.
It should be on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah,
You'd be
man.
great.
Yeah, really.
All right. What we got? Close your chats.
All right. Close your chats
Oh, yeah,
first
yeah,
of all.
yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you remember that every time now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and say you're probably not going to get this one, but I'm going to give it...
Oh, man.
You know, I'm actually kind of running low on games that are interesting to talk about and not just JRPGs. So we might want to start thinking about another segment just in case.
Well, we might not need to say, hey, if you've got a weird game, we have an address down there in the description of these videos. You can send weird games to Nick with. And
Yeah, I'll pretty much definitely put them on the show if it's actually weird and not just like, here's a copy of Mario
Don't just
64.
send Glover over.
yes,
Right.
there's a call to action there, something we rarely acknowledge.
I don't want Glover. All right. Today's game is a DS game, first of all. It is a puzzle platformer. It came out in 2009 in North America. It was published by Ignition Entertainment, designed by Yoshikazu Harada. The first word of this game's title is an onomatopoeia.
Wow, that's a big hint. Bang. Bang.
Next hint is you play as a mushroom.
Okay. Toad's Tower.
No.
Toad.
That Toad is Toad an onomatopoeia now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the sound that frogs make.
Toad.
Toad. Wait, why would it be a sound that frogs make? Wouldn't it be a sound that toads make?
Frogs say toad and toads say
Frogs say
frog.
Toad. Toads say frog.
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 This game features a mascot of a game company.
It's
Is
the
it
mascot of a game
Nintendo?
company?
it's Hudson's mascot.
It's developed by Suzak and AQ Interactive. Oh, yeah, I
We
said
all
that
know the
Oh,
famous Zach and AQ Interactive storied publisher.
It's who Vivendi owned before Blizzard.
Let's see if I can...
Is it a Japanese or American onomatopoeia?
Oh, somebody in chat did actually get it. I don't know how to even answer that.
What do you do in the game?
You collect your family and use them as ladders to traverse the rest of the level.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
No.
I love it.
No, it's
I
your
love
answer?
the
No.
candor with which you delivered that, because that's just an expected level of weirdness for Nick's Weird Games at this point, I suppose. Yeah, you
think he's
use
gonna
your
shock me
family
at
as
this
a ladder to get to the next
All right, we
area.
need ladder-related onomatopoeias right now. What do we got?
I have no fucking idea, man. I'm completely at a blank
yeah.
here.
No guesses then?
No,
Not even Rob?
not even.
I don't know. But
I call it buzzballs.
Well, now I want
like
to play Buzzball.
Yes, anyway. You all,
Black-
guess an onomatopoeia first, just for fun.
All right, sure.
Bam.
Crack.
cuck.
Crack.
Is it Crackdown on the DS?
No.
Where you use your family as a ladder to get to the next area?
They really
Bang bang ladder boy.
That could literally be an actual game.
Why do you want to bang the ladder boy?
Bang,
Give us the
bang,
onomatopoeia
clap.
first. What's the onomatopoeia?
Right. What is the onomatopoeia? Yeah, tell us what the onomatopoeia is first.
All right, the onomatopoeia is boing.
Boing.
Bang, boing.
Boing balls. Boing balls is in there somewhere.
Boing blast.
Boing. The word after boing is Japanese, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Boing, boing, walla walla bing bang.
Wow.
Can I you know?
Boing, arigato, ladder.
Boing Toyota.
Boing
Oh, yeah, mine was.
Toyota. My Sharona Boing Toyota. Surprisingly fun and clever platform puzzler with endearing characters. 7 kinds of awesome. IGN.com.
We're 20 minutes over. What is it?
The game is called Boing Dokomodake.
Oh my god, man. That is a Nick's weird game.
The mushroom.
You like the mushroom?
See,
I didn't even see it.
He's seen the end of days and he's running and he doesn't know why.
On the back, you can see him trying to grab his family to use them as ladders because that's all he does.
He looks horrified.
He hates the whole thing.
Yeah.
The game was actually fun. It was kind of cute. I played it a little bit.
All right.
In chat, we've got Messed Up Duck 55 is the only one that I see that guessed it in a reasonable amount of time.
Fuck yeah.
King of Choppa's also got it afterwards.
What was the full title? One more time.
Boing Dokomodake. Docomodake.
That's awesome.
All I want to do is boing, 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 and dokomodake. All I want to do is boing.
Hey, that's Nick's Weird Games, and that's Roundtable Live for September 30th, 2016. Thanks for joining us. Check out our guests. That's AlpacaPatrol. Where can they find you?
I'm AlpacaPatrol everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. On YouTube, got a series with Nick. Got some Rocket League Rumble stuff in the works and stuff. And Twitch, I've been streaming a couple things lately. And then on Twitter, you can find my Discord and join it. And it's fun. Lots of people hang out there and talk all the time. They're probably having a conversation right now.
About him, but without him. Behind his back.
Yeah.
Austin, where can they find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/last_gray_wolf. And I stream every single day from 1 to 6 p.m. Central Time. So give me a watch if you want.
And that's all spelled out. It's about a 28-letter Twitch
I work
username.
with what I got. I work with what I got.
Thank you very much for our Patreon supporters over on patreon.com/roundtable. We want to thank those of you who have been supporting at the $20 tier and above, including Julian Avelsgaard, General Crunk, Jonathan Graham, Scroddy119, thanks for the question, man. Supermono Man, Colby Klein, David Schmitz, Greenlight, Mavier, Oren Saltzman, Christopher Flagg, Eric Schooley, Brizzle Brit, Positron, Myth, Scarab, Mediocrities, Justin Smurfett, and Logan Ray. Thank you guys very much. I thought you had 2 copies of it for a second. I was going to be like, I
thought it was weird that they use a sleeve with the exact same art.
Yeah.
Directly under it. Why just not sell the game
games don't even
without
have
the
sleeves. That's weird by itself.
Yeah.
This was a rare game that had a sleeve. That might have been why I
that
bought
would have tipped us off. If you had told us it had a sleeve, we would have gotten it.
Sorry.
It would be like if your shirt had sleeves that were just like pictures of your arms. You'd be like, what's up with all these?
I like that.
Follow us on Twitter at RoundtablePC. You can catch the show discussion over on roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. You can catch the show VOD over on our YouTube channels. That's BaerTaffy, Northern Light, Rocket League Smile, and Mathis Games generally. That's not his, you know. Also, you can rate the show 5 stars on iTunes, and that's it. Oh yeah, watch it here live, of course, every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And we will see you next time. We're all going to be here next week, right? I think we're all finally done with our travel nonsense for a little while, so
yep,
we got the whole squad. Sweet. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Later,
Bye,
guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.